Welcome to the Shoe in the Breeze Conversation with the DJ podcast with your host, Eric Lee and Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas.
Man, I love the way that thing just dropped like that. What's going on, Long?
What up, E. Lee, in the place to be? I mean, the L-I-T, the C-I-T, always on fire. I stay lit.
How's my mic sound this week?
Yo, your mic sounds nice. Check one.
Okay, check one, check two. Welcome to Shooting the Breeze Conversations with the DJ. Yo, it's Shuli E. Lee in the house, and you are who again?
Lorenzo Ice-T to the Thomas.
That's right. We do this each and every Thursday night where we get a chance to talk to some industry vets, some friends, some entertainers.
Yes.
You name it, we gonna talk about it. We're gonna have a good time. And of course, don't forget, if you're out there on social media, which we know you are, do us a favor, hit the like button on Facebook, as well as if you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification button as we bring out this content each and every week. Like we said, for the most part, this is all family for us because a lot of folks that we bring on, we know really, really well. And the brother, the gentleman I'm about to bring on, Lo, you known him for a minute, huh?
I mean, we've known him about the same amount of time, dog.
Yeah, we've known him about the same amount of time. He's worked for numerous record labels. He worked with some of the biggest artists. I won't spoil it. I'll let him talk all about it. Give a hand for my man, Craig Davis in the house. What up, Craig?
Hey, guys. How are you?
What's going on?
What's up, Craig?
Oh, I can't complain.
Oh, man.
Ice-T.
What's up, Craig?
Eric E. Lee.
In the place.
Well, I've known you guys a long time. We're going to talk age? Here's my pager.
Where's my pager? Where's my pager?
That's how far we go back. We go back pagers, guys.
And Craig, we're going to tell that story too tonight.
Oh, we already got a special guest. Wanda Hayes said, "What's up, Craig? Uncle Craig."
Hey, Wanda.
Wanda was our second guest on the show.
Yeah. Hey, Mom. That's my radio mom right there.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy, Eric Freeman, that works with me at the radio station. He's always checking in. Thank you, my man. You can check us out. All you got to do is hit us up in the chat. We'll shout you out. Now, Craig.
Yes.
Hey, man. This has been fun. Lorenzo and I have been having a ball every week.
Yeah.
And we're excited to have you on this show. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. Thank
you. Hey, no, we got to, I want to let everybody know how important your time is. You just getting in your hotel, right?
Yeah, I am. Just got it. 5 minutes before the show. 5 minutes before the show, rushing. Hope the timing is in driving,
Yeah. What you
I'm in the church van today.
Oh, you're in the church van today?
That's right.
Who you rolling around with today?
Tomorrow I have Raheem Devon. He has a show. So got that in the band, and we couldn't find a car service that could take us around. So I'm doing it personally.
Okay.
Every once in a while, it's good to get the rust off and get out there and do some things you haven't done in a while. And I haven't drove a 15 passing in a minute. So, hey, we do what we do.
You don't need a CDL for it, so you're good.
No, exactly.
Well, where are you, Craig? Where are you right now?
I am in Detroit right at this moment.
Ooh.
Is it still out there?
The big D.
How cold is it?
It is actually 57 degrees, not cold at all.
Oh, ain't too bad.
Okay, all right, that's pretty good.
Okay,
that's pretty good.
Nice
pretty
day.
Good.
Beautiful day today.
All right, we're gonna do you like we do everybody else. How'd you start in the business, man?
My dad always said, I always knew you were going to be in the business because you always slept with the radio on every night. Since
right.
You were 7 or 8.
Didn't we all do that?
Yeah.
Didn't we all do that? Yep.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think what drew me into music was going to like my first party and seeing someone DJ.
Right.
Now, I've got a little age with this gray, as you guys can see. I remember going to this local club, and this guy was playing music, and it kept going continuously. So me and my guys in the neighborhood got together. We got 2 BSR turntables. We went to Radio Shack and got a Lafayette mixer, because back then they didn't have mixers. And I went and got some speakers, made some speakers. My dad helped me make some speakers. We got amps, and we started doing parties. From there, like I got my Sherman Vegas, went to college, through college parties in college. During the late 70s, very early 80s, I was a pretty prominent DJ in the New Jersey, New York metro area.
Okay.
Um, and I thought DJing was going to be my life, had a record pool, all that. And then I moved to Philadelphia. Funny little story in between. I went to college and I thought I wasn't going to be in the record business. So when I got out of college, I didn't get a job in the record business. I got a job doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that job fell through, and what saved my life was the music business again. So I moved to Philadelphia. Through Philadelphia, I started working at Power 99. I was the first mixer at Power 99, and I was in 1982, 83, 82 when they first got on in Philadelphia. So I was a real popular mixer on the radio in Philadelphia back in the day. They called me Craig Super Mix Davis, and I was a mixer.
Okay.
And Alan Lott, a great promotion guy, was like,
right.
Came to me one day and was like, Craig, do you want to learn promotion? I didn't know what it was. Good friend of mine back then was Fred Buggs, and Fred Buggs was like, man, go ahead.
Bugsy.
What the heck? Bugsy. Yep.
Bugsy.
And Alan had me work with him, and it was an experience of a lifetime, and I never looked back. I started doing promotions and never looked back. And that was 1983. So I've been in the business for a while. Blessed to be a servant still in this business. Still doing it.
You know, it's crazy because we're all celebrating hip hop turning 50.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig, you said you went out on the road with the biggest band, the biggest hip hop band, the first one, Run DMC. How was that?
Alan said, Craig, we got this group in. I work for a distributor called Universal Distributors. The very first record I worked was Divine Being is What People Do for Money. That was like
What
the record.
People do for money. Yes.
Yep. So Profile had this record out, Run DMC, and Alan said, yo, I need you to go take the group around. I waited for them. Was only one. It was two radio stations in the market, WDAS and WUSL. When I met them, Larry Lara, who was their producer, drove them down in his red Cadillac. It was a Coupe de Ville. I always remember that. I remember that Jam Master Jay's turntable was in the back. You know, back in the day, you had the back seat, and you had that big old space in the back between the seat and the window.
Right.
Jam Master Jay's turntables were in the back. It was Jay and DMC and Ron and Larry, and they came and did promo. We did promo. We did Lady B first. Then we went and did Mimi Brown. After we did Mimi Brown, we went and did a few things around the city. Then they asked me to go get them gold caps. I was like, what's gold caps? And that was OE. Found that out for the first time. And the other thing that they needed back then, and it took us a while to go get, was those fat shoelaces. So they was in the fat shoelaces.
Okay, so what year was it where Lady B and Lady D and Mimi were doing radio? What year was that? Because they had their own hip hop shows in Philly at that time.
Lady B was working for WHAT, which was an AM station. She was on the radio.
Wow.
I remember her having it first, and she played hip hop. Now Mimi did not play hip hop. She was an afternoon jock, but due to the influence of what was happening in Philadelphia in 83 and 84, it made Mimi, it made them over DAS started to play hip hop music.
Mm-hmm. And what was happening in New York at the time? Because I was still, I was in New York at that time. So
Mr. Magic was the
Mr. Magic and Red Alert
actually, I remember giving Red Alert. Remember going to Red Alert the first time in 1983 and giving him Rock Master Scott. It wasn't actually, the roof wasn't on fire. It was on the B side. They wanted to work that record. And that was the first time I met him, and that was in 83. He was working at KYS then, but Mr. Magic was the one that held it down back then.
KYS or RK?
He was at KISS. Mr. Magic was at BLS.
But the call letters was K.
Hot 97. It was 90. Right. It was before Hot 97 days.
Right.
KIS was 98.7.
That's right.
98.7 KISS. Yeah. And BLS was the big one, WB.
and Red Alert was on Kiss at the time, and Mr. Magic was on BLS, correct? Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay. All right. Right. And when you say going to sleep to the radio as a kid, I remember growing up in New York City and listening at late night to hear Mr. Magic and Red Alert on opposite radio stations, breaking this new form of music, this new genre of music that we were like, yo, what is this? It was taking the world by storm, and we just wanted to get as much of it as possible, but it didn't come on until late at night. Because of course during the day,
late at night,
right?
This is
really
before
late
the
at night.
6 o'clock rule.
No, but it wasn't even. There was no rule at that time whatsoever. They thought it was going to be a fad.
Right.
Yeah. So I remember those days, Craig, very well.
They were like, we didn't know what we were doing. It was a kind of music that it was just that music, and we just all wanted to just make it happen. I those early days were amazing. I remember the Fat Boys when they first came out. They were running around in Philadelphia. I mean, remember New Edition coming around and staying at Lady B's house. And I mean, they would be at our house for days and weeks just hanging out with Lady B. I mean, Charlie Mack was Charlie Mack still back then. This was even before Will Smith.
Right.
Before he was the first out the limo.
Yeah. I mean, it was New York, and then it was Philadelphia. If you did something in New York, you had to go in the next spot, and the next thing to expand your reach was to go to Philadelphia. It was a car drive away. Everybody went to Philadelphia to break a record.
So hip hop was just starting in that region, and that was it. New York and Philly at the time, right?
And then DC, then it spread. DC, then Richmond and Norfolk. I mean, you both guys. You know, you held it down in Virginia, and when we went into them 80s, y'all held it down. Like you had to go, you had to go to VA. There was no doubt. If you wanted to break a record, you had to go to VA. That was even before we were talking about Atlanta, but it was more important to break a record in VA than it was in Atlanta. Imagine that.
I got a follow-up question to that. Why do you think? And I mentioned this last week. It seems as if when I watch a lot of documentaries, see, I'm originally from New York. So I know the birth of hip hop, and then I moved to Virginia to kind of spread the hip hop to that area. My cousin says, I taught him all about hip hop, and he was Google Eye from Petersburg, Virginia, would tell me that I taught him everything about hip hop, not knowing what I was doing. But when you watch these documentaries, I don't see VA get the credit that it deserves. And why do you think that is?
Because the right people aren't telling the stories.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we are now.
Yeah, we are now. We are now.
I mean, man, I had to come down and again, I was between living in Philadelphia and going down to Virginia almost every other week. I used to see Eric and you two almost every other week. I had to come down.
Yeah.
It was that important. That was really important. DC was important too, but Virginia was that place where you knew if you broke Virginia, you knew you had a record. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was the first major you worked for as the regional or national when you felt as though you really made it in the business?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because you've been to a lot of places.
I'd say Jive. I'd say Jive. I would say Jive.
Along the career, I think working at Def Jam in the very beginning with Russell Heidi, Bill Adler, Bill Stepney, and Andre was amazing. I think that was amazing. When Andre started Uptown, he said, Craig, I need to start Uptown. I need you to help me do promotions. I came over and helped him with Uptown, worked the very first Heavy D record. I thought I made it then.
Mr. Big Stuff?
Yeah, Mr. Big Stuff.
Mr. Big Stuff.
Yeah. Got great stories about just Heavy was amazing. I remember Soul Train didn't even want to play Mr. Big Stuff. It was like, Don Cornelius was like, they'll never play that record on my show. And we were really trying to get it on Soul
What was
Train.
the sample? King
It was Mr. Big Stuff.
Yeah, but that was who was the sample from? Is King gosh, I can't think of the R&B. It was an old school?
Old school record. It was
old school
definitely
record.
Old school record, yeah.
It was an old school record.
Yeah.
So Don,
and then when I went over and did started rap promotion at Arista. I thought that was the joint. Tony Anderson brought me in when they started signing rap groups. Clyde wanted to get in the rap business in 88, 89. So I went over to Arista and wound up doing there and staying there 10 years. So I thought that was an amazing part of life. And again, Arista Records was, and you both know how Arista was Arista LaFace and Bad Boy.
Right.
You had to get them records. You had to get them records, you know. Clive Davis was who? He was that boss. He made sure you would get a little blue note, and then everybody would Arista would know. You get a little blue note on a report, and you'd be like, how the heck, all the stuff he's doing, he's looking at these spins and asking me about a record, especially Whitney Houston. He would go over Whitney Houston and make sure Whitney Houston asked me. So Whitney, you would write a blue pin mark, and you better have a right answer by the end of the day. Shout out to Lionel Rittenhour, shout out to Tony Anderson, shout out to Doug Daniels.
Wanda Hayes said it was a G Knight record. Okay, all right.
G Knight, thank you, Wanda.
Oh yeah. Wanda. That's right.
Wanda.
That's the beautiful thing about this. We got people that always come in and help us out when we miss one of the records.
And then when I became a national ad priority, I thought I was big stuff, having Snoop and Ice Cube and all those kind of groups. And then when I went to Jive and became a vice president, I thought that was an amazing job working with Larry Kahn and everything from R. Kelly, and yes, I'll say it, R. Kelly, to Chris Brown, to
people still talk about Elvis. Yeah. So you can talk about R. Kelly.
Okay. Glad we
heritage, 15-year-old, something like that.
That'll be another show, right?
That's another show.
Yeah. And then I've been blessed throughout my career and still doing it to this day. I'm so blessed. I am.
So what are you currently doing today? I know you're with Raheem DeVaughn. Because I've talked to you over the years. You've managed
I've got
quite a few
4
people.
hats I'm working now. I'm still doing promotion and marketing. I've got on the promotion side, my biggest client is 300 right now, and Monarch. Other clients like Buster, 50 Cent, and all that. I've currently got a Phony People record over at 300 at number 2. Got an amazing group.
Oh, that's your record, Phony People? Wow, yeah, it's doing very well. Very well on Urban AC.
Juan Moore, which is Wanye's sons, 18, 17, 15, 12. A male singing group. I don't want to call them a boy band, but a male singing group. And I think they're going to break through. I think we're going to have that music back. As a person that just tries to understand the business and looks every day and try to look around the curve, I didn't know if girls would scream or react to some guys singing to them more. We all think that everybody wants to hear a particular type of singing. So I didn't know if it was going to really happen. I have a boy band in 2023 with Gen Zs liking them. And I went to a couple of high schools. I felt like it was so for real. I thought it was 112. I thought it was all them type of groups. I thought it was Usher. They screamed and it's coming back. So I'm really proud of the new group, Juan Moore. I've got a label that I'm a partner in called SRG, which is where we have all the R&B acts at. Brian McKnight, Johnny Gill, Keith Sweat. I got to go through the list. After 7, Chaka Khan.
Got everybody.
Yeah. I'm drawing blanks now. Lavelle, Kenny Lattimore.
You're not playing.
And just a lot of groups, about 20 groups on the label. So I've got that label. So R&B label. Most of the major have kicked out R&B acts, especially our heritage R&B acts. They've thrown them to the curb, this wayside. So I kind of had an idea like we need to have a place for R&B acts. So this is the place where R&B acts are. It's called SRG, So Known Recording Group. It's amazing. I have an amazing partnership there. We're putting out records right now. We have gospel, we have blues, we have R&B. On the gospel side, Erica Campbell is a big group for us. The Wall Group is a big group for us. On the blues side, Tito Jackson. So we've got a real cover. We got UB40. So it's a pretty big
red wine.
5 years.
Red wine, right.
Yeah, red wine. So I have that. I have a distribution company in which I'm putting out all types of music on the distribution company. And then I have a management company, and Raheem's one of the groups I manage, and I have other artists, Charles Jenkins on the gospel side, My God is awesome. If you guys don't know who Charles Jenkins is,
Okay.
So I'm working. I'm serving.
Look, man, R&B isn't dead.
Hey, watch your mouth.
I say it's not. It's not dead because I mean, New Edition was a New Edition guy in Jodeci. They're selling out everywhere they go right now. They're coming to it. Hey, I know they're going to be in DC tonight.
And Tank is with them as well.
Yep,
Tank's with them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, the Black Promoters Coalition, they bringing back all the R&B joints.
Yes, they are.
And they're selling out. I went to see Maxwell perform. Are they doing their thing there?
Yeah, they are. They are. Had great shows. Mary J. Blige was a Black Collective Promoters Collective tour, which went extremely well.
Right.
I mean, Mary did her thing. It was really great to work with Mary again as well last year. It was really, really great to work with her from Uptown and working with her again at 300. It's amazing. A lot of the artists that I've worked with before, I'm working with again, which is a blessing.
It was good to see Kevin went and picked up Mary.
Yeah,
I dug that.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
Mary is a show woman.
So. Yeah, she is, and she is part of our culture.
You worked with everybody. Who haven't you worked with that you wish you had worked with?
Who I haven't worked with, I always tell people, I said, what I do is I help people express themselves to the masses. That's what I do. I help people express themselves to the masses. Only person I haven't helped express themselves major-wise was probably Beyonce and Jay-Z. I haven't worked with neither one of them. So
neither one of them? Okay. I mean, but you work.
Pretty much, I've had almost every artist. I've had a hell of a. I'm having a hell of a run. I'm having a hell of a run. You know.
Yeah.
Time I get up with Tyrese, and I got major clients like Tyrese. I got major clients like Nick Cannon.
So you got Nick Cannon.
Yep.
And the babies.
And the babies.
all of them.
Those babies.
Yeah.
All those babies.
Yeah, he got me on that promotion he did where he said he had that new show coming out like Who's My Baby or Who's Gonna Have Nick Cannon's Baby, and then they came back the next day calling it no, it's a prank show, so the whole promotion was a prank. Yeah. He got me on that one. He definitely got me on that. He got a lot of people.
Yeah, he did. Have Nick Cannon's Baby. How many people would come out for that? how many women would want to do that?
Yeah, because they want to get promotion. He's got the money to take care of them. So well, the ladies might be like, where do I sign up?
Exactly.
We're gonna take you back. Go ahead.
I do want to give a shout out going out to one of the artists you mentioned, Lavelle. I have been in contact with Lavelle throughout the last 3 or 4 years as an independent artist, grinding, great voice. He comes out with some quality music. Yes. And in fact, he's going to be performing in Orlando on Saturday, March 25th at the Central Florida Fairgrounds, along with Plies, Life Jennings, JT Money, 69 Boys, Fantasia, and Babyface. And speaking of Orlando, that was the last place where I saw you, Craig, right. Earlier last year with Raheem Devon. I think that was Funk Fest.
That was Funk Fest.
Yeah, it was Funk Fest. Yeah, great show. But tell us a little bit about Lavelle.
Lavelle's an artist that came out of Kansas City. I remember meeting him about 7-8 years ago. He's always been grinding, just working on his craft, just locally. He won talent shows. I remember seeing him at KPRS, winning talent shows and doing all that. And he just built his catalog of music. And at this point in time, he's assembled himself a really good career, working almost every other weekend. He's got a brand new single getting ready to be dropped on tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Okay. He's got a new album out, and he's some people say he's the replacement for Joe Levert.
Yeah,
that's what some people say.
Yeah.
That soul, that gritty soul feel.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah. Every day that I've been giving out tickets to Music Fest on Star 94.5, I've said to that winner and to the audience, watch this guy Lavelle when he hits the stage. Ladies, you want your knees to buckle? They're going to buckle when you hear Lavelle. They're like, okay. I said, when he comes on stage, remember Lorenzo told you. They said, all right. So I know he's going to shut it down. Are you going to be in town for that show?
Or I might come in for that. I might. I'm just checking my schedule. I've got between him and I got a new single on Major, which I think you guys are playing in Orlando.
Yes, we are. Something I Love You. No, that was the other. Girl, I Love You. You something. Baby, I Love You. Baby, I love it. Okay, yeah.
Baby,
It's a new
Will You
song.
Baby, Will You Love
Me?
Baby, Will You Love Me?
Maybe Will You Love Me? I am playing it.
There you go. It is. Absolutely.
Couldn't get the title absolutely right, but I knew I was in the area. I was in the
And he's an
ballpark.
amazing artist too. You know, for artists these days, you really people say there's 100,000 records that are released every day. That's 700,000 a week. That's 3 million records a month. You've got to be something special to make it out here these days. You really have to have a lot of different things going on at once. And dreams are still coming true. Artists are still breaking. There's new artists coming out every year. I think the pandemic slowed things down for a minute, but I think that now that, as the young kids say, we outside, I think that the playing field for a lot of artists are now was flattened. So everybody's kind of starting at the same point. So I think that there's some new artists out here that are trying to break in and do as much as an artist that has been out for 10, 15 years, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw you down memory lane.
Darnell Jones. Wow.
Say what? Say what?
You and Mike Street and me and Darnell Jones.
Yeah, man.
Wow. 1987, 1988.
Damn.
Yep.
Is he righty?
No, he can't be.
No, that's later than that. It's the 90s.
88. It's
It's
got to
the
be
90s.
89.
You said 80. You said 80.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. 90. I'm sorry. 98. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
98.
We was in
1998,
school.
1997.
Take it back
look
down
at you,
memory
man.
lane.
Oh, shucks.
This was Power Jam. And the crazy thing about it, this is the artist you had on the show. Deborah Cox.
Wow, Deborah Cox. I remember that day too.
Hold on.
Ooh, I remember that day.
Remember you took her to my video show at the house. And the house was a converted garage. I mean, the studio was a converted garage. Gary's spot.
You remember the manager husband as well.
Her husband,
her husband didn't want anything going around without him making sure everything was good.
Oh
Questioning
yeah,
everything.
But that's because at the time, well, I don't know when this was, but there was a time when things were not that good.
No.
It was a little funky.
It's very funky.
It was a little funky.
Deborah's still
Very
out there
funky.
doing records too. She's out there still doing records.
Oh yeah, I follow her on social media.
Wow, Deborah Cox. Arista Days. Yeah.
So
shout out to Lionel Ridnour again.
Yeah, shout out to Lionel. We had my man on last week.
Really?
Tommy.
Fat Tommy.
I know Tommy got stories.
Oh, he had.
How long was the show last week, Ely?
3 hours and 14 minutes. Shout out to Fat Tommy.
Yeah, he's that. I spoke to him today. He's here in Miami now. I spoke to him today. He's down here. Yeah. So we might link up this weekend.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So, I mean, you work with Whitney Houston, and during your Arista days, and they've just had a biopic or a movie about it. How was it working with one of the greatest voices that has ever graced the microphone?
Whitney Houston?
Yes.
An amazing, such an amazing artist. I mean, there are not many voices that were like her voice. Her voice was just so amazing.
Right.
I mean, she touched so many people. She was definitely a Newark girl, though. She was Newark, New Jersey, East Orange down. She was definitely.
I heard she was hood.
Hood ain't even a word.
But she was such a princess every time.
Oh, let me tell you.
So that was a time when we call artist development. So things that, when you showed well in front of the public. Is there anything as such thing as artist development anymore in the business?
No, not at all.
So whatever you is what you is.
Especially at the majors. At the majors, all they're looking at about how many you streams. Oh, you had 7 million? Let's sign them. They don't care anything about the artistry. They don't care. As long as it's streaming, that's all they worry about.
Wanda Hayes thinks she was jilted low.
Yeah, we got to bring her back.
More time.
Yeah.
You got more time, Wanda. We're going to bring you back. Bring you back. So last week was the anniversary of the death of the Notorious Big. Were you at Arista at that time?
Yes.
I know.
Of course I was.
Absolutely.
I remember being awake and they wanted me to go out to LA, and I was like, And again, I was a married man with kids, so I really didn't do as much running back then in the early '90s and the late '90s as everybody else did. But I remember the night they called me at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It was like, yo, they shot Biggie. He's dead. I was like, what? And then Christopher was really special to me. I mean, like I remember taking Christopher on his first
The fact you
promo
called him
run.
Christopher.
Yep. I remember taking Christopher on his first promo run. They said, yo, take Chris and Craig on the road. It's their first promo time. So I took him into Baltimore.
The Big Mac tour.
Yep.
The Big Mac tour.
I took him into Baltimore. I think Baby Sam was even on the radio at ERQ.
What was the single? Was it Unbelievable?
It was Juicy and
it was Juicy, and it was Flavor in Your Ear.
Flavor in Your Ear. The Big Mac.
Okay.
Yep, Juicy. Right. And we went so we did Baltimore radio. I remember him doing everything, doing all the shows, and it's good with everything. And then we went to TGI Fridays and down at the Harbor. And I remember him looking at me like, yo, man. He said, man, what the hell you do for a living? I said, well, I'm a promotion fan. I'm the guy that got to get your records on the radio. I'm the guy that got to make it happen for you. And he didn't understand that part of the business. Although, I knew Biggie from Uptown days when he did thing at Uptown. But it was just our relationship. We had a really great relationship. I remember one time he flew in because DC is where I had my office at, and BT at that time was out of the DC office. So every artist would come into DC, everybody, a couple times a week. You would have artists come in, whether it was Teen Summit or whatever. They would come into BT. I remember one time Biggie came in, they had a limo for him, and my car was broken, and I had my wife's Ford Tempo. He's like, yo, man, where you at? I said, yo, man, I'm driving Tempo. I told him, yo, go in the limo. He said, man, fuck that. Yo, he was that type of guy. He rode in the Ford Tempo with me, as big as his ass was.
That was a big dude.
He was such a great brother, good brother. There's some stories I can't tell you about it, but he used to mac the women.
Look, I've been around him, so some of the stuff.
A room full of girls in the hotel. I was like,
the stuff he rapped about. I was like, I remember that night.
he would get them. Him and Little C's, they would get the girls. But Biggie was such a beautiful person. He was a really great, and didn't take the starism like a star, because he said, man, I can quit this stuff anytime I want to. At a certain point, he was like, this is cool, but this ain't everything that I want to be. So he was very, 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 a very good friend of mine. It was really hurt when he died. I had to take Mom on the road for that album. I remember that was very difficult, taking Mrs. Wallace.
The Life After Death album?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember taking her on the road. That was really difficult as well. And just talking about him.
Now, was the No Way Out?
Funny story. Hold on. Let me get another story.
Let's go. Funny story.
Andre Harrell used to put me on these missions. Yo, Craig, I need you to do this. Yo, Craig, I need you to do this. So one day he called me, Craig, I need you to do something for me. Yo, I got this kid at Howard. He want to be in the record business. Take him around and show him the record business. I said, all right. He said, what's this kid's name? His name is Puffy. I said, all right. He gave me the number. I called him. I said, hey, I'm Craig Davis. I work at Uptown. I hear you want to get into the business. He said, yeah. He said, I said, all right, where you want to meet up at? He said, yo, I'm doing this club night. Come by the club night. And the club night was in DuPont Circle. And I remember I was with Son of Berserk. I put them away.
Son of Berserk.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Take me back.
Ice Cube stories. I got stories. We could go on for about 10 hours, but anyway. So he said, yo, meet me at this club. So I get to the club. There's a line of 250 people. This club is packed. It's jamming. My name's on the list. I go in. He walks into me. He said, hey, Craig. Yo, this 9-year-old kid gives me a bottle of Dom Perignon. He says, here, take this. When you're done, I'll get you another one. I was like, who the fuck is that? That was the first time I met him. I showed him promotions, showed him the clubs. He did clubs and stuff for me. After about a month, 2 months, he's like, Craig, this is cool, but I want to make records. I said, well, you got to go up to New York to do that. That's when we went up to New York. So,
I mean, why did Andre say, go get this little 19-year-old at Howard? What was the connection that he was?
I guess somebody got in touch with Andre, and I guess Puff got in touch with Andre or somebody and kept bugging him. And bugged him enough that he was like,
knew Puff through some. They knew Puff through some hell of a parties in DC. That was his. That was his
claim to fame.
Yeah. A party.
Yeah, he threw a party. He had a party. Yeah.
So we can say Craig Davis helped to launch Bad Boy.
He always had it in his head. He always had it in his head. Even when he worked at Uptown, I think he always had it in his head that he was going to do his own thing.
He's going to do his own thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the day they fired him. Because he was at the time he was doing Jack the Rapper. He had a segment on Jack the Rapper. He was part of the editorial, and he talks about it. He says, the day I got fired from Uptown. And I checked it out. So you were on that, was it the No Way Out tour? Mm-hmm. Right after Biggie died? We're going to take you back for a second.
Connection, yours truly, Ely, in the place to be. Doing it his way on the No Way Out tour, no doubt.
Yeah. Chilling with Ely. This is Ush, baby.
In the house.
Yes. Putting it down on the No Way Out tour.
What the deal, yo?
You know what the deal is.
Tell me what the deal is.
We blowing the spot. Here today, Ush is doing it my way on the No Way. You know what I'm saying?
Check it. How long have you been in the #1 position now?
13 weeks, man.
13 weeks.
13 weeks, sitting at number 2 on the pop charts. And much respect to Elton John and the death of Prince Diana.
Right.
That's the only reason I can't get the spot. But you know what I mean, to stand next to one of the greatest. I'm saying that single is the greatest or the highest. It's got the highest response of all time.
No doubt.
And I'm standing right next to it.
Like this.
You know what I'm saying? Like what? I'm in the game. I can do it my way too. Get off me. You know what I'm saying?
Now, you got a brand new single out. Actually, a lot of people don't even really know about it because your first single overshadows everything in the business right now.
I'm doing it my way. But next, I'm gonna take it nice and slow, and definitely you're gonna get the video before anybody.
My man.
Without a doubt. Just came back from Paris shooting it. Hype Williams did it. It's gonna be a great video. It's a nice little movie concept. It's definitely something for y'all to ride to and listen and learn from. You know what I'm saying?
Now you did a joint on there with Monica too on the album.
On the album? Yeah. Me and Monica, we always do something.
Yeah, that's right.
Monica, I did something on her last album.
And return the favor.
And without a doubt, we busted out an old slow jam joint.
From Midnight Star.
Yeah, no doubt. And then Lil' Kim.
Lil' Kim is on there.
And then Blackstreet.
No doubt. So right now, I should live on top of the world.
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good.
Everybody know where you're from.
I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, but I'm in Atlanta right now. I'm in the AT. Oh, I know you ain't clowning AT alien.
No doubt. That's the way that's what they
shout it.
No doubt. I love the way they put it down. They said the ATL.
ATL.
Yo, much success. Actually, this is your second album, man.
It's my sophomore, definitely. It's in the stores right now.
I remember a single from back in the day, because I've been in radio too for 10 years. Call Me the Mac.
Yeah, just call me a Mac.
Call me a Mac.
Gotta play by my rules. That's my beginner, man.
That's
everybody has a beginner too, yo.
Hey, and it was still hot back in the day, no doubt. Check it. We're glad you came through.
Hey, man, it was a pleasure to have
you. Much success on the Puff Daddy tour.
Man, we stay together forever.
When is the My Way tour coming?
The My Way tour is coming soon enough, so look out.
So check it out, right here on The Connection.
One of the biggest Vegas acts. That was your guy.
Wow. I remember taking on to both of you guys. I remember being up at Hampton, and his first time he got chased by girls at Hampton University. They were in the gym and they had something. They found out who he was and his song was playing. They were running after him. Oh, he loved it. I've known Usher since 15. Oh my God, 1995, I think.
And I've got friends right now in Vegas going to see him perform right now.
I want to go see that. I haven't seen it yet, and I'll put my call and see it probably soon. But I really want to see that show.
Yeah, I do too.
It's an amazing show.
Yeah, I heard it was. Shout out to my girl Daphne Johnson. Hold on, Lo. She in Orlando, so she must be. She listens to you too.
On Star 94.5, Orlando's only R&B. Sweet
I call her Niecy though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Niecy.
Hey, Craig. I just have to say, because I'm sitting back here and I'm looking at the roster of artists, and you had your favorite air personalities that you made sure got the interviews with a lot of these artists. And as I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, he made sure that artist came to see me, you know, and you did the same with Eric. And I don't know, we sit back now, we have to say thank you for that, because a lot of times it was your decision. You may say to the PD, or the PD may say, hey, I want him to have him on such and such a show. He'd be like, nah, I know I'm going to get a good interview on Eric Lee's show when he's on, or on Lorenzo's show. I know you did that for me, because we even talked about it from time to time.
Both of you were, let me tell you, you guys, I was in Cleveland earlier today, and the program director there is A+, who's from Richmond. A+ knows both of you guys.
Right.
And I was telling him that we were doing this today. He said he was going to check it out. He said, but he remembers both of you. He said, you guys shaped his hip hop life. He said, I remember listening to both of you guys he said he had family in Norfolk, he had family in Richmond. He said, so between the both, he said, I made sure I had both stations. He said, you guys basically raised him. And amazing how many people that we as people in this industry affect. We affect a lot of people.
Right.
We change a lot of lives. We make a lot of people a lot of money, of course. And we give people a escapism that normally that they probably wouldn't have with any other art form. You can't do this with art. You can't do this with anything but music. Music is something free that it's almost golly. It's a spiritual thing. Music is spiritual.
Soundtrack of your life.
Yeah. Talk about the relationships and how important it is, because you were based a lot of time in the DC market, in the Mid-Atlantic region. But when that promo or that single came down from the suits up in New York, and you said, okay, because you had the Mid-Atlantic region, New York, you got Philly. But when you knew that you had to take this single to the Mid-Atlantic region, what was your thought process? Or you knew you need to go to this station or that station, or the stations that were rivals. How do you take a project and say, okay, I need to go to this station first, or I need to go to another station first? What was that thought process like?
Well, a great thing about both Richmond and Norfolk at the time when we were doing in Richmond, it was only CDX. So you made sure that Eric and Aaron got the records. Aaron actually called me this week. I just got to call him back this week. I was a little busy, but you had to do that. Now, when it came to Norfolk,
what about wasn't PLZ wasn't around?
Yeah, but
PLZ was more of an adult. Was that Gardner, right? Kevin Gardner?
Well, Kevin Gardner. It was Phil Daniels for a little bit, but Kevin Gardner was there. He was there, but
that was R&B. That wasn't like.
And we owned it,
huh? And then you brought it. No, they were competitive. Then you brought it.
We bought them.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so but at that time there were more R&B, and you were coming with hip hop records. Okay, got you. All right. Okay.
And then when Wowie, it was like, yo, you better bring it to Wowie. Remember Janet? You know her that was.
Yeah, Janet Armstead. Yes.
Around with Janet.
Funny story, real quick, because we talk about Janet. I came down for 103 Jams or something. I came down for, and I was talking to Janet because I was hanging out with Lorenzo. I said, well, Kathy Hughes, Radio 1, she buying all these stations. She says, I'll meet that B at the tunnel if she comes to Atlanta, comes to Richmond. Norfolk. I was like, Janet?
Yeah.
Janet was like that. She said, I'll meet that. Because, it's the tunnel in Virginia, coming across the tunnel.
Right.
But in Norfolk, she said, I'll meet that at the bridge.
Yeah. I mean, and what type of monster Wowie was.
Right.
I mean, Wowie was like the test market for anything that you wanted to put out. So I know all reps said, hey, if it gets on in Wowie, it can work anywhere. And we were known as the station that broke records.
That's right.
And Crumbly and Heart Attack and rest in peace, DJ Law, and all of us down there. We took pride in KJ, of course. Yes. Took pride in breaking records at 103 Jams, especially during that era. And we would dare. I mean, I think Damon Williams was programming a station at that time. I think it was a 92 something.
92.
Yeah, was it 92?
What it was is WRAP. Morris Baxter.
The Nighthawk.
Damon Williams.
Yeah, that's right.
Doing that.
That's right. That's right.
And they were the same building too.
Exactly.
And both of them. So you couldn't go up one without the other. And if one found out you was trying to sneak up without the other, you get in trouble. That was weird.
Right. And I have to shout them out because, they're my boys, they're family. And there was a battle going on between the two stations. Yes. It was short-lived, but there was a battle that went on. Yes, I gotta say what it is,
Yes, Morris is here. Morris is here in Atlanta. He does the morning show here in Atlanta. So I see Morris out every blue moon doing this thing.
I saw him when I was at a show last summer. I saw Morris at a show last summer. Mm-hmm. Okay. Morris still got that coolness of him. Morris.
Oh yeah,
Morris
still
back
cool
in coolness.
Yeah, still cool as a fan. If you're checking us out on Facebook, make sure you hit the like. If you're checking us out on YouTube, make sure you hit the notification button as well as the subscription button. And please share. One of the things we wanted to do, Craig, was to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk to the people on the back end of a lot of these artists, because we see Whitney, we see Tony Braxton, see Biggie, Mace, 112, all of these artists, but nobody really knows how the sausage is really made. So what we wanted to do, Lorenzo and I, is have people that could tell the story about the music industry, working with the artists, just like you talked about, you call him Chris, and he was like, not the prima donna, not Big Papa. Hey, I'm jumping in the tempo with you. Let's roll. Some of the real stories behind the artist, because a lot of what people see is the presentation. That's who we're performing. Mm-hmm. We're giving you something that not necessarily that we are 100% of the time. It's for entertainment. You can talk about the stories, about the fun stuff, the cool stuff. Just like you said, I can't talk about everything about Biggie, but the ladies were around.
Right. Being a promotion person, you kind of joined at the hip with the artist, especially if you're on the road with them. You're constantly spending time with them. I mean, you're up in the morning with them. They're going in their room, in the hotel room. You're going to your hotel room. Right. You're in the car with them, driving hours, going from place to place. So you kind of, it's a relationship that you build, and it's a very unique relationship. There are things that I've heard that I can never say that from artists, and there are things that I can kind of laugh about that artists have done. But it's just a promotion person has got that real inner view of an artist and the ins and out, the real personality, who they are as a family person or whatever. We see a lot of stuff. They're the catalyst of everything, because it first starts with the music, as Kenny Gamble would say. It got to start with the music. But after the music, it becomes the artist has to sell the music.
Right.
And we have to be the ones that set it up so they can sell the music.
Who was your favorite
artist?
We're going to dig on you now. Who's your favorite artist that you go with?
That's too hard.
Who was the one that you least liked then?
I got a question, because I think I know the answer to this one.
I could tell you some horror stories.
What's the horror story? What's the horror story?
I love you, my guy from Soul For Real, but them damn Soul For Real kids was nothing but horror at a couple of times. I remember doing something, and we talk about Miss Hughes. Remember, Miss Hughes had opened up the station in Baltimore, and she had one of those outdoor things in Baltimore. It was a big concert that she gave, and they had a hotel that they did a deal with, and the hotel was actually like 2 doors from the radio station. And I remember we all went up to our room. Soul For Real performed, went up in our room. About 8 o'clock in the morning, I get a bang at my door. Mr. Davis, come with me right now. I'm like, what the hell? I go into their suite. Every piece of furniture is broken. Every lamp is broken. Chandelier off the wall. There's feces on the wall. I go in the bathroom. The toilet is broken. They trashed this room from A to Z. I mean, like, I thought they were rock and roll people the way they trashed the room. And what are you going to do about this? So I called up the VP, and the VP had to put it on his card. Another time I had them, not all of them came. They was like, we ain't going to perform. Only 3 of us became, and this was something for a school, and the kids were really, really anticipating it.
Now, was the lead singer there? The little kid?
The little kid, no, he was there, but one of the older brothers weren't there.
Okay.
And they weren't going to perform. And I actually had to get the Fruit of Islam to make them perform.
Really?
Yeah.
You had to get the FOI out on them.
I had to get the FOI to get them perform.
Woo!
They were very difficult. I remember them in Norfolk doing stuff for Wowie. They were a handful.
And how many albums did they have?
One.
How many hits did they have?
One. Heavy D is so for real. I got nothing but love for
Hey,
you.
that was the alley-oop, and you slam dunked it.
Raindrop.
That was Heavy's. That was Heavy's group.
Heavy D
That was
is
Heavy.
so for real.
So Heavy, evidently Heavy didn't tell him, hey man, y'all can't be acting like this if you want some longevity. They down here in Atlanta. They live down here in Atlanta too.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the I got a demo from one of the guys in the group I'm gonna go listen to this week. It's sent it to my team.
Okay.
But
What
who
horror
works,
stories?
out of all the artists, who works or worked the hardest? Or
Who works the hardest? There are a few
hardest?
people that works hard. I think Raheem Devon is one of the hardest working artists in the world. I mean,
That's your
Raheem,
man's.
you know, when he finishes a date, a lot of my artists used to go to clubs and go hang out. First thing he want to do is find a recording studio, no matter what city. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. I got to find a studio. I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas. He want a studio.
Right.
We were in Nashville a couple of weeks ago for a Valentine's show. We got in a few days early. What did he want to do? Wanted to go to the studio. He's hardworking. He does everything you need him to do. Amazing performer. He leaves it on the stage. He's amazing. Erica Campbell is another amazing. She got the radio show. She's a mom. She's got an artist career. Erica Campbell is amazing. Tyrese busts his ass when he wants to too.
Right.
He's definitely busts his ass. Usher works hard. I mean,
yeah.
The great ones work hard. You know, the great ones work hard.
Okay.
And then there are a few of the great ones that didn't work hard. I'll bring up a little R. Kelly story. I remember we would all have to go to Chicago to listen to R. Kelly. We would have to wait for him to finish playing basketball, because that's what he do. Get up in the afternoon, because he wouldn't get up in the morning. Get up in the afternoon, play basketball until a certain hour, and then he come in the studio. We wait for the studio to hear the music. But every time he put a song out, it was like, oh my God, where's he getting this from? He was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing producer, amazing writer.
Now, did Raheem tell you any of the Jamaica jump off stories?
No.
Has he didn't share any of those with you?
Ask him about it.
Oh,
really?
I can go grab a couple of pictures. I got a couple.
Really?
I could, if you'd have told me we were going to talk about Raheem, I'd have grabbed the Jamaica pictures that we got. I'd have grabbed the Jamaica pictures.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll be with him tomorrow, man.
Yeah. You can say, hey, I was on with Lorenzo. He asked me if he has have him share a Jamaica jump off story with you.
Okay. Now, what we doing? Egyptian jump offs and coming up?
We got the Egyptian jump off.
Yeah, we're doing the Egypt jump off.
Egyptian jump off. Egyptian jump off.
Yeah, we're going to Africa December 9th through the 17th. Yes.
That's right.
Lorenzo
come on, Craig.
Come on, Craig.
Come on with us. Come on with us.
It's on your bucket list, man. You got to check it
off,
off, dog.
Absolutely, it is.
Going back to the motherland.
It is.
Re-educate ourselves and go see and hear the truth for real.
Right.
That is true.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Folks, if you're checking this out, make sure you hit us up on Facebook, hit the like button, as well as if you're checking this out on YouTube, the notification button, as well as the share button. We would love for you to continuously share the content. We've got some good folks on here. So, Craig, any regrets in the business?
Absolutely not a single one.
Not
There have been
one.
ups, there have been downs, like everybody in life, but not a single regret. I am so blessed. I thank God every morning now that I wake up. Now that I have the wisdom to do that, I thank God every day. I'm still doing this. I'm still breaking new artists. I'm doing it every day. Like I ain't even slowing down. Now it's more about ownership than working for someone else. But I love it. I've always loved this, every part of it. And you just try to see what's around the curve and see what's happening. That's the only thing I think that at this point in time, it's just the business is changing so fast, and you just have to be on your head on swivel. Let me say, like the young kids, your head got to be on swivel. You got to know exactly what's going on at all times. This TikTok versus Instagram versus Twitter. You got to make sure your TikTok is right now, and it's
your TikTok right. You a TikToker, brother?
Yeah,
I haven't got into it yet. I got to get it. I'm
this show should be on TikTok. You should put this show on TikTok.
Yeah, we could stream it. We surely could.
You should stream it on TikTok. The thing with TikTok, and I was explaining to my DSP person that works for me, Instagram, only your fans or someone scrolling can find you.
Okay.
TikTok is to the masses. It goes out to everyone.
Really?
Yeah.
Because China don't care.
China don't care.
And then no restrictions. And we could play the video with the music on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
I got slapped on the hand for airing a show that I had legal right to, Video Connection. They're like, that ain't yours. I was like, no, but if you see me, I'm the host.
Was it during the broadcast process?
Oh, no, YouTube. When I thought YouTube hit me back and was like, that ain't yours. That ain't you.
Yeah.
Like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, and it was his contact, but China owns TikTok, so therefore, they don't care about any copyright infringements.
They surely don't.
Man, oh man.
So TikTok is a new place we all need to be at.
All right, so I guess I'll put a TikTok account. They tried to scare me and said they're gonna have all your information, but they got all my information anyway.
You got an iPhone, right? You got an iPhone, right?
I got an iPhone. I got my spy phone.
Yeah,
I got my spy phone.
You just have to be careful about what you put on there.
So I got a few questions. I know we're grooving.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask 2 questions, one for Eric and one for Lorenzo.
Okay, Eric, you're the first person.
You were one of the first people that did video programming, not along with the video programming, but you did interviews as well. How much content do you have? What are your best pieces that you can say, yo, these are gems? It's
Jay, Beyonce, Little Kim, Usher. I've got 112 loaded right here, as well as Mace from that night. I've got Jay did the show a couple of times. Brian McKnight a couple of times. Redman, Little Kim. I've got so much content. Aaliyah. I've got crazy content. You guys helped me out with that, because when I decided to do the video show, every time y'all brought folks in, Eric, I'm coming through with Deborah Cox.
That's right.
And when I get it for the video show. So I've got so much content that, it's crazy. And the reason why I'm doing the show right now, is because realistically, the person that sparked this was a brother out of Richmond, Virginia, Caramel Video Jams. Caramel, shout out to you. He's like, bruh, what happened to all that content? I said, Gary, remember Gary got all the content. He said, look, I still got all that information. So we've got content for a while. So I wanted to, at the time, I was on the air and you had BET, you had MTV, but we had a local show and I was on our CBS affiliate and I was on our cable affiliate. And I don't know if I told the story before, but this might be the second time I told the story. I was in the club one night and it's the funniest thing that ever happened to me. So I'm in the club after 6 and we down, actually Slip and Shaka, we're in the bottom. This young lady walks up to me. She was like, man, me and my girls watch you every Friday night. I'm feeling myself. Stormy Norman spinning the music. I got my crown on the rocks in my hand. Well, thank you, baby. Blah, 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 blah. She says, yeah, because we've been locked up for a while. I'm just out now, but we was checking you out while we were in jail. So they allowed them. I was like, I was about to holler at her, but she might cut me if I do wrong. Right. But be able to work with the record companies, and you guys had my back. And hopefully I helped you guys, hold position on the weeks that you're trying to get to number 1, and you got your bonuses and things because of the work that you've done. But the thing about it is we were all cool, but at the same time, it wasn't about a bunch of BS. I understood that when you came for a record, and if it was important, but you never came with BS. Now, if it was BS, I had to let you know what it was.
Right.
You came in with Bad Boy Records. You came in with Whitney Houston, Tony Braxton, Usher, Mace, Biggie. You got hits, bro.
Right.
Hits. So yeah, that's what I did it for, man. It was for the love of the music, because that was a different time. But yeah, that's why I did it, Craig.
Do you still have it? Is it on a YouTube channel? Can people go out and get it?
Oh no. You know where you can find it? Right here.
YouTube.
Say that again.
The place where you'll be able to find that content will be on this show.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why Eric wanted to start this show, and I wanted to be a part of it every week, Because I remember I hosted the video show for him a couple of times.
Did. You sure
so
did.
I remember the show because we were in Richmond at the same time. I, at the same time, was doing a lot of the public access shows with the El Bravador and the B side. So at that time, Eric was doing his show, and I think maybe I did it before you started. E, we were doing that, or was it at the same time?
Man, it's been a minute.
Yeah, I think because I think it was after I was there, because that's when you became music director, and I think that's when I left to go to Norfolk at Wowie. So we were doing a lot of the public access video shows where we would break Public Enemy and EPMD and Parish, and you know, Poor Righteous Teachers. Those videos we would show on the public access shows with El Bravador, and I can't forget I can't remember my man's name that was with El Bravador, but our goal was to break this hip hop music, because at the time it was only on public access or the video shows. Those were the only places, or late at night is where you would be able to hear the music, because as we say each week on this show, those people have to remember hip hop wasn't played on the radio 24/7. It was played after 6 o'clock.
Mainstream. It was definitely
right. It was at one song after 6 o'clock on the night show. And then you would hear it maybe once an hour on the weekends. And then when the hip hop show would air on Saturday nights, that's when you would hear most of the hip hop music.
Remember, the R&B songs had a rapper in the middle, but they had two different versions. Mm-hmm. One for any other time,
right,
and the one for people after 6 o'clock.
Yep.
You know, I remember that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it was man. I got, like I said, man, I can take you back anytime, because you gave me 112. What about the time 112? We pulled up into the neighborhood of Gary, who was in suburbia Richmond, and when them brothers got off that bus, and his neighbors came walking out like, what's going on here?
Right.
What's going on here?
What's going on here?
And they came out with the tour bus in the middle of the suburbs in the neighborhood. And Gary still tells that story. He was like, yeah, my neighbors was like, what the world going on? But 112 did this. You brought them on the tour bus. Oh, I've got footage. I've got content with Dre. It's kind of cool to say I got billionaires that did my show.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys put that in place. So I truly appreciate it, man. I truly appreciate it. So what's next for you, man? I mean,
I got one more question to ask.
Oh, that's right.
Can I ask Lorenzo a question? Then you go back to me. Lorenzo,
yes,
you've been doing this thing a long time, like I have. What's the difference in radio now and then before?
I got to go grab this quote sent to me by my mother.
Wow.
Compared to back in the day, you'd have thought we set this up. Radio, my mother said this to me yesterday. It's like being in love with a woman who no longer loves you.
That hurt. Damn. Radio is like being in love with a woman that no longer loves you.
My mother said that to me yesterday.
I believe it.
Ironic that you asked that question. And when she said it, it was like a punch in the gut. Mind you, I'm still in the business.
Right, absolutely.
You know, I work on two different. I work on two different radio stations, and you know, I've had my ups and my downs, and I'm having a great career. Like you said, I'm still doing it. I'm still active. But we all have those highs and those lows. And what's going to be interesting is, where is radio going to be within the next 5 years?
Chat GPT, better watch out.
You know, I believe I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's still going to be around, but you're going to need people in those positions, because those positions are going to dwindle. And we'll say the software that's being created to create these radio stations, they didn't think they were going to need us any longer. You know, the systems were created so you can just have a whole bunch of voice tracks, right?
GPT, they've been
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, okay, we can put this system in there and they'll just be voice tracks. So therefore, if there's voice tracks, we can still keep the radio going. And then when the diaries disappeared and you had PPM implemented where you had these panels, they figured, okay, now we'll be able to control that. But they forgot about the connection. And I call it having from this microphone through those speakers, having the umbilical cord connected to the soul of the streets. It takes a true personality. It takes a true person that is speaking the same language of those people that are listening to the radio to be able to have that true connection. If you don't have that live personality, if you don't have that person that shares in their experiences that you can identify with, those voice tracks are not going to work. That person that's voice tracking can't feel the same energy of that song that's coming through the speakers. So they try to create a disconnect. But when they did that, they took away the personalities. And then because they took the personalities out of radio, the listeners are like, well, where's all the content? Where's all the conversation? Where are all the interviews? That there was a point in radio where you used to bring in the artists and now, oh, these interviews need to be recorded or they can only be 2 to 3 minutes long because the program director or the vice president wants these things to be cut down and short. Black people don't like talk, right? All of those things that started to change. And when they eliminated that creativity, when they eliminated those interviews and the content, what happened? The radio became boring and stagnant. And then the listeners are like, well, where can I get this content from? And all of a sudden you have the explosion of podcasting. Then podcasting took off and just blew up. And now radio was like, whoa, we pushed all these people away. Now we need them back. So if I could say one of the biggest differences are the people that were behind the scenes made the decisions. And now they're in a situation to where they're like, yo, hello, we're still here. Now you need the strong personalities on the air to be able to bring the listeners back and to have them interact with listeners, similar to what's happening with the podcast. But it's still treating you like my mama said. It's still being in love with a woman
she still don't love
who no
you.
longer
She
loves you.
Still don't love you.
She still don't love you. So those are the big differences. But however, if you have a PD like the PD I have, and Elroy Smith is old school.
Yes,
he's old school. And Elroy Smith worked with Tom Joyner. Elroy Smith worked with Doug Banks. So he understands what personality-driven radio is all about. And he just recently got promoted to vice president of content for Cox. So he is all about bringing personality radio back. And, and I'm doing well in Orlando because of that. He's like, Lorenzo, no, I want you to talk longer. I need you to talk more. I want you to connect with your audience. And that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen as often, but now it's like, the handcuffs are off. He's like, if you have not said anything on your show where you have connected to your listener emotionally, you haven't done a good show. You have to find some way to connect with your listening audience. You have to say something that they can identify with, and make sure you do that within your show. And especially what's happening here in Florida and what this governor is doing down here. He's giving me plenty of things to talk about.
Okay. And your community wants to hear them too.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the woke conversations. Like how you gonna take our word, hijack it, and then come up with a totally different definition. But then when you ask one of them to give a description or give a definition of the word, they can't give it because it's a talking point.
Yeah.
So, so that would say that is the biggest difference, and another thing is that, I don't think the relationships between the PDs and record people like yourself, they don't exist anymore. They're not as strong as they're there, but they're not as strong as they used to be. And I don't know if they really can, really care anymore about those relationships. They may be there, but, I don't know if they're still the same, because
you're still carrying the torch, Craig, for R&B music.
Yeah,
because I mean, there's still a lot of good R&B. One of my favorite artists is Ari Lennox. Man, I love that girl. That little girl sing. Boy, she got some lyrics for it. You know, a couple of cats, man.
Is she a little girl? I haven't met her. Is she little?
I mean, to me, yeah, look, I got a little age on me. It's creepy.
Young girl. You say little. I was thinking about stature. I know one award show I saw her on. I was like, okay, I'm a fan.
But her music is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you got that, what's it, the Janina Keo, whatever her name is. I mean, they got there's some good R&B artists out there.
But new artists out here that are trying to make their move too. Yeah.
So, there's some good stuff out there. It's funny because you say that you didn't know if the kids would chase the little boy, the boy band or the boy groups anymore. Yeah, it's still out there.
We're seeing, but we've been fed a diet of the same kind of music for such a long time, and it's kind of hurt. It's definitely hurt the label side, and I think it's put a little hurting on the radio side as well. I mean, like I just think some of this hip hop is just exactly the same, and it's been in the same place. Hip hop came from such a long way, and it evolved, and it came so complex, and now all of a sudden it seems like it's just
mumble rap.
Mumble rap all the time,
mumble rap and drill rap,
right? And I'm listening to what people are saying without saying it, and I'm hearing people are not. What's that word? Canceling. They're silently canceling some of this hip hop.
Right.
Right. I'm.
Well, we had a Fat Tommy on here last week.
I think that people getting tired of people getting killed and shot.
He talked about. He said that. Right. He said the same thing. He says, "We perpetuate it, we promote it, and the people that get paid off it don't let their kids listen to it."
Mm.
And if you listen to rhythmic radio, or you listen to pop radio, you don't hear the same music. You ain't hearing nothing like that. No. Totally different kind of music.
Right.
What they're feeding us is trash. McDonald's, it's fast food. You can't get nothing out of it. It's a shame, though.
But you know what's the irony is, if you check, and I'm going off the top, so I don't even check ratings like I used to, but those younger in 1834 radio stations, as far as the ratings are concerned, their cumes may be high, but their shares are not as high. They're not even dominating like they used to, say 10, 15 years ago. So they're not, so they're not
people on here.
Am I right in saying that, E?
They get all their content off of here.
Kids, that's all kids worry about is this.
This is all they do. That's why the ratings aren't as high, because they don't listen to the radio. They stream everything.
It's funny. I always jump in, and I do a lot of travel, as you guys already know. Whenever I jump into an Uber, I ask them, how do you consume your music? That's how the kids say it. That's how do you listen to music? But they say, how do you consume their music? I probably, out of 35 times, I'll have one person say I listen to the radio. Other than that, people that drive these Ubers, which of course are younger people, they don't listen to the radio.
Yeah.
But you're not giving them none. And I'm not saying, and it's a difference. And just as somebody that's still in the business, R&B is working because R&B has got that demo that's 35 plus that grew up on. That's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids have not grown up on radio. They don't have a reason. Their influencers are on their phones. Their influencers are not on the radio station. Now, if those urban stations put those influencers on the radio, they would probably get some more listeners.
Yeah, I have argued with a couple of VPs in reference to the target of some of these radio stations, and there's a genre of music that I think that if they focused on that, they could make some money. There's a listening audience for them. And even though they can still get credit for 35 to 65-year-olds. So my take was that, well, since this music is basically bubblegum, 12 to 24 music that you're not going to get great ratings from or revenue, you need to take your radio stations and make them dominate from the ages of 18 to 49. You have one, and then you bring on a solid gold radio station. You play a radio station that plays Southern soul. You play a radio. You have a radio station. I mean, the throwback station would be soul music, stylistic, Shy Lights, OJs, and you play the Southern soul music along with the blues. That target 35 to 65. Do you know how well a station that is formatted specifically for that? There may be some. I think Philadelphia has one similar to that. And then take your younger end radio station and make that 1849, and now you've got two stations in the market that can dominate the black demo, because the 12 to 24 or 1834 radio stations are not making the money that they used to or getting the numbers.
Right. They're not. You look at New York numbers.
But they're not going to do that because they don't know the music. They don't know the blues. They don't know Southern soul. They may be able to research the classics, but because they don't know it, they don't do it. Yeah. I mean, and that's how you can basically save black radio and get this. I don't even know any of the songs. I faked it for so long. I faked it for so long on 99 Jams, and I told him, I was faking it. You know what I mean? Because I can't even listen to it. People are like, Lorenzo, why are you still in the club? I said, the Lord will let me know when I need to walk out the club. And back, I think it was 2012, I was working with the 400 Club, and I heard that 808 do 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 do. Everything had that same sound. Lord told me, time to go. Time to get out the club. And I walked out, and that was the last time that I hosted a club on South Beach on a consistent basis, because I was like, this music right now, I don't know where it's headed, but it is time for me to go. So most of the things I host now is Legends of Troy.
Rec said hello. Salute.
What up, D-Rec? So I mean, it's the music. I couldn't even tell you. Like when I see something like the award shows, I don't know who these artists are anymore. And I don't care. But we're at the age now, it doesn't matter. So I don't play it on Star 94.5 or Hot 105, so I don't care. So
it's good stuff, man. Craig, any other stories you want to talk about before we break out?
Yeah.
We could go for days.
Okay, I just want to be respectful at your time.
We can go.
I got some energy. I know what I told you at the start, but it's Craig Davis. Let's go. I'm all right. I'm all right. So I got energy.
You got energy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm drinking my drink right here.
Have a sip, and we're gonna throw back to another time. Real quick.
Back, you know it. Video connection definitely in full effect. Yours truly, Ely, in the place to be. Now, when we first started out, we had a group of guys that come through here. I got much love for this group. They came and supported a long time ago. Bad boy recording artists. We got 112 up in here. No doubt.
We're back.
Back on the connection. Now
we're taking over this radio station too, and this video station too.
Taking over the whole joint.
This W112. This is our show right now.
No doubt.
Connection.
So check it. Y'all on tour now, doing your thing.
Yeah, actually, this is our fourth one since the last time we saw it.
Oh, no doubt.
Our fourth one. So
actually,
the Lord has really been blessing us, man.
The last time y'all were here, y'all had the remix version of your first single.
No doubt.
So y'all come a long way since then.
Yeah, mighty long way.
And y'all been doing a whole lot of cameos on, of course, Biggie's LP. You did some joints with the Isley Brothers, the remix joint. I mean, y'all just like the Lord, just straight busy.
That's the key, man. You gotta stay busy. You gotta stay out there, because if one day you decide to I want to chill for a minute, then that's when somebody else gonna come in. That's when 211 gonna come in and
he said 211 knocking out 112.
Come knock us out the box. So we gotta stay constant. We gotta stay out there.
Just in case people missed it the first time, where did 112 come from?
112? Deron, why don't you explain?
112 came from a club in Atlanta. It was outside in front of this club where we sung for Puffy, and he decided that we sounded as good live as we did on our demo tape. He decided he would sign us from that meeting with him.
No doubt. And y'all on the Puffy tour. Check it, fellas. I'm glad y'all came through. I don't want to take all your time. I know you got to hit the stage. Check it, but we're going to introduce the next video. Go ahead, do that thing for me.
Check it out. This next video is our homeboys, Drew Hill. We're not making love no more. Check it out.
On Video Connection, baby.
Another one of your artists.
When I see 112 performing, I don't know who's going to be there. Sometimes it's 2, Sometimes
Right.
it's one. It's a little weird. It's a little weird. I love them all, but I'll be like, which 112 is performing now?
Man, every time they perform in Atlanta, all of them pretty much perform.
Oh, really?
You know, because it's home for them, so they all
that
perform.
That and Drew Hill with 7 members now, you know?
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, man, okay. They added another one. It used to be
another
4.
one. And another one.
And another one. And another one.
There you go.
You work with
Snoop. Let's talk about Snoop Dogg.
Let's talk about Snoop. We talked about him last week. You weren't around when he overnighted the weed.
I got my own Snoop Dogg.
Okay,
I worked with Snoop twice. I
Okay.
worked with Snoop in 2000 when I was at Priority, and then I worked with Snoop from 2009 to 12 when I was at Capitol.
Okay.
The first time I met Snoop, I was like, boy, this boy smoke a lot of damn weed. Oh my God. and again, we all from the hood. We all know everybody smoke. But I was just amazed. But what was more amazing for me, and again, I was just intrigued because he smoked so much weed. He would smoke different weeds, different time of the day. And I didn't know about indicas and sativas and blends and like that.
The different
so he was like, he always had a white guy that rolled all his weed for him. And just in case something happened, the white guy would take the case and take the fall, and Snoop would go. But Snoop would just smoke. And I was like, oh my God. We had a promotion in Philadelphia in which we gave away a 64 Impala. Mm-hmm. And this promotion was supposed to be one of the biggest promotions for, I think it was Power 99 back then. And we're supposed to give it away at 2:00. Snoop, we got to be there. Snoop, we got to be there at a certain time. We really got to be there. 2:00 comes, no Snoop. 3:00 comes, no Snoop. 4:00 comes, no Snoop. Snoop, where you at? I'm on my way. I'll be there. 5:00 comes, no Snoop. About 7:00 in the evening, Snoop comes. They're giving away the car and everything. He's asking me where all the people at. I'm like, one other story I have with Snoop, and I've got a lot of Snoop stories. But I remember they said, Craig, you're the only one that can move with Snoop and move Snoop around. We need him to do Russ Parr show. Like, damn. So I went to DC a day early. He was in D early. He was on his bus. I said, Snoop, really do me a favor. Please come on time. Just be on time. Yo, G, I got you. 8:30 comes. 8:35 comes. 8:40, Snoop pulls up. I'm like, oh, snap. Oh, I'm good. Yo, the bus door opens up, smoke like chicken chong smoke hits me in the face. Yo, G, I'm here, Craig. I told you I was going to be here. Radio 1 in Maryland was at Atlanta. The studios were on the first floor, but it wasn't the radio station. It was a building with a lot of different businesses, banks, all types of businesses were in this building. Russ Parr's on the first floor. We walk him into the studio. We get him there. It's 8:47, 8:50, cracks the mic. He's on. 9:10, he says, stop. I ain't doing that no more until I smoke again. Snoop, what are you talking about? Yo, I got to smoke again, Craig. Yo, I ain't doing nothing else till I smoke again. So everybody starts panicking. There's a green room. The green room is in the lobby on the other side of the studio.
Right.
It's on the ground level. He goes in the green room. He's for about 20 minutes. The whole joint is smoked out. The whole floor on the first floor is looking like it was a fog machine in this floor. White people are walking through, black people, business people are walking through the hallway like, what the hell is this? Yo, finishes, 20 minutes, gets back on the mic, talks for about another 30 minutes. He said, Craig, I got to take another break. Yo, smoked out the whole building. They didn't care. That's
Snoop came to our station. Now, not where I am now at V103, KISS 104. And we had six stations in the building. And there's 5 stations in the building. And we only have one urban station. And we had a very, very conservative group of people in the building because we had a conservative news talk. We had Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity. So, very conservative white folks. And I remember when they said Snoop was coming and, they were fans. And when he came to the place, the stench of weed was so strong. People walking by like, is somebody smoking marijuana? Is somebody smoking marijuana? He wasn't even smoking, but when he walked, he just man, my light-skinned brothers and sisters up in there. Somebody smoking weed. Who is smoking weed in here? And for us, we all back there giggling, laughing. I was like, Lord have mercy. But Snoop was cool. You think about his personality, he was funny, he was cool, but he was so high.
Oh, he smoked high.
God.
Snoop still smokes some of the best. I don't know. Doesn't Snoop have his own weed?
He's got his own line. Yeah, man.
I mean,
California, why not?
Amen.
I mean, for what he does.
Yeah, didn't Chris Rock say, when did Snoop Dogg turn into Morgan Freeman? You know what I'm saying? Like, endorsing everything.
Listen, getting everything. He getting all that money. I'm glad that our artists, when I look at a Queen Latifah, when I look at an LL, when I look at a Snoop, I'm looking at the successful stories of Black people that made a career.
Remember they vilified him, though? They vilified Dre, Snoop, Cube. Everybody was gangster rappers.
Right.
Now you got Snoop and Martha Stewart.
That's right.
The whitest of the white women.
That's right. Exactly.
And he just as cool as a fan. So
it's amazing.
Endorsing and Corona beer and all of that, you know. So my quick Snoop story is we're on South Beach, all right, New Year's Eve. Jamie Foxx is throwing a party for New Year's Eve. It's free. New Edition. Busta Rhymes and Snoop Dogg are performing. Now, Jamie's on there singing and hosting the show, and every time you turn around, you have no idea who's coming out on stage. Sanaa Lathan is there. Gabrielle Union is there. A whole host. DJ Irie is on the 1 and 2. I'm standing on the stage. I remember seeing Busta Rhymes in the hallway and grabbing him, say, yo, Busta, you got to come on. He has no idea what he's getting ready to walk into. I grab Busta, you got to come on, man. You got to come on. So he walks out onto the stage as Jamie Foxx is hosting. Irie sees him, pulls him out on stage. Jamie Foxx gives him the microphone. Irie throws on, put your hands in the air where your eyes can see. The crowd goes crazy. After that, here comes Snoop Dogg. Smoking and drinking. He slides through there. Jamie Foxx then hands him the mic, and he's smoking, rapping, and drinking all at the same time on stage. This is probably the best New Year's Eve party I've ever experienced, with Jamie Foxx hosting it. I can't remember the name of the hotel right there on South Beach, because you didn't know who Jamie invited and who was going to come out on stage. And it was just like incredible. And he rapped for about 2 or 3 songs, boom, and then left. But he was there smoking, drinking, and rapping all at the same time, while Irie was just throwing on whatever song he could think of, and then Snoop Dogg just rapped to it. And then he left. But it was a New Year's party that was crazy. That was a crazy night. And there's probably some other people that performed that I can't remember. But he's been showing these videos. Normally, Craig, I send him the pictures or video, audio, whatever I got. He puts it up. I didn't have a chance to do it. But I got to show this picture real quick. This picture, here's an artist that you brought to me. You were there. Can you see who it is?
Who is that?
Selena Johnson.
That's what I thought it was, Selena.
Oh, Selena. Yeah, she's a singing sister.
Yeah,
Selena,
you brought. She's singing.
That is her and I at WKYS, and you brought it through. Do you remember that?
I do.
What do you remember about that? All the time. What do you remember about that night?
I can't even tell you about nights. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, this night, this was the first time you brought it through. We did an interview. Great interview. And there was so much chemistry and synergy between Selena and I, and she's my friend to this day, that after the interview, when I say it, you're going to remember it. after the interview. Now, you know me. Yeah, I never wanted to be labeled as a groupie, right? So I wasn't big on hanging out with the artists unless, they came through the club and we hung out that way. They came through. So I never wanted to be that. I never wanted to have that label. But there was so much synergy and chemistry between Selena and I. Right after we got off the air, we went to the movies together.
I do remember that.
There you go.
What y'all go see?
I don't remember. I think it was a horror film. But it was me, her, and maybe like Craig. Did you come, Craig?
I don't.
Or I don't know if you came
Was
that
it Celine? I dropped you off.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's what it was. But I know you were there, and you let her know, like, yo, this is my guy. Because you had to co-sign for him. She's like, yo, he good? He was like, yo, that's my guy. We good. And we've been friends ever since. And then even Selena came and did my Jamaica jump off for a few years and brought her sisters. Yeah. Yes. So from you bringing Selena into the studio, that established that friendship that, whatever I need from Selena, or whenever she comes to town, she hits me up, and we still stay in contact to this day. And it's not about what she can do for me or what I can do for her. It's about that chemistry. And when you have that synergy with someone and you're like-minded, it just stays forever. So there's so many people that you've introduced that, you don't even know the relationships that have formed because of that. I got another one for you real quick. All right, this one. You were there. You might have taken
I got that. I think I got a couple of those.
You got this one, right?
That was at the convention center, KISS event. Who did I had a couple of artists.
Who's in the middle?
Q-Tip was in there.
That's Q-Tip in the middle.
Q-Tip was there, and I had somebody else there that night. I think I had Outkast.
Tyrese? No, it wasn't Tyrese. Angie Stone?
I think it was Outkast. It might have been Outkast or Angie Stone. I remember that. Q-Tip, me and Q-Tip had fun on that run, on that record he had on Arista. We had a great run.
You got a story? You got a Janet Jackson story?
I remember...
With Q-Tip,
I know one thing about Q-Tip. He used to always say to me, once we would run around and do a lot. He was very much a nutritionist. He would say to me, "Yo, I got to get some leaves." He had to get some green vegetables in him, and that's what he would say. I got to get some leaves, bro. I got to give me some leaves. We eating this junk. Which brings me, I guess, around to as all of us being in the business. What do you guys think was your best party you've been to?
Oh, yeah, best party.
Wow.
Well, best couple parties.
Well, Eric, you got something?
No, you go first. I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, this is an easy but hard one because there were so many big parties that I hosted, and some people may think I'm about to say on South Beach. Those 400 club parties that we did on South Beach, we had about a good 6-7 year run. Just star-studded with the Dwayne Wade and Shaq and Kim Kardashian, and I'm probably leaving some people out. A pool party with Chris Brown and Trey Songz. I can't remember who else was there, but that's just off the top. But it was not on South Beach. It had to be one of those parties at Dream nightclub, because every Friday night, WKYS would do Dream. Dream nightclub. You remember
Republic Gardens before
that. So big shout going out to Steve Hegwood, because when I came to KYS in 19 I was working at BET doing
I want Wanda
doing video vibrations, right? And then got fired from V103 because V103 changed format. Remember, I was assistant PD and music director at V103, and then they changed format. So then I went to KISS. Damian Wayans hired me there. Steve Hegwood put me on to do the live broadcast at the Republic Gardens for 4 hours. He let me do the live broadcast. So from there, when they moved from Republic Gardens to Dream, I would do afternoons from 2 to 6 and then turn around and do the live broadcast from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. So there was so many nights, and I don't remember who we were talking to, E, but you remember they used to charter buses from New York and Philadelphia to come to this
That club was crazy.
Dream
on the weekend.
Dream was crazy.
Quick story. I would, Anthony used to have the clicker at the door. I'd come in about 9:30, do my live broadcast from 10 to 2 a.m., leave there about 3. I said, Anthony, how many people we do tonight? He said, we had an average night. How many we do? We did about 6,000. Average night.
They was bringing in money between. Shout out to Mark Barnes.
Ramson. Average night.
Shout out. Only brother I know since it's public record.
But
you ever make USA Today for tax evasions? It's public record.
No, but listen, he was bringing about $1 million a week.
Mark
was bringing in $4 million a month.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There was a Howard Homecoming show where Beyonce performed outside on the street where they had the big stage set up. But I have to say, the Gilbert Arenas party, where I think he spent $1 million on the party, and the party was free for everyone. Mark Barnes had sent out these black cards to invite everyone.
Like American Express.
Yeah, it was American Express card.
I remember that.
And I was actually had already left DC to come down to Miami, so I was working in Miami. So I actually flew from Miami to DC to go to this party. So I have to say that one is probably the best and biggest party that I've ever been to. That Gilbert Arenas party, that one was legendary. That one stands out because it was free and a place. And I can't imagine how many people came through. That was one of the nights I didn't ask Anthony how many people, but you probably did 10,000 that night. Probably. Easy.
Man, I remember at Love and Dream, what I always loved about it, their security always handled everybody with kid gloves. They were never nasty. When you got drunk, they had this room, which used to be the loading dock because the club used to be a film. And if you get drunk, they would put you in this area, and they would try to get you, sober again. They would have a nurse that would treat you. Yeah. They would give you fluids if you was messed up. They would call a cab for you. Since then, I've never seen anything like that. Never.
But you got to remember on Friday nights, and this is in Washington D.C. So on a Friday, the doors would open at 6 p.m. The happy hour would be as big as any club. You see what I'm saying? And then you had all your politicians in Washington, D.C. that would come in there for a happy hour. Your athletes would come in there, get their party on between 6 and 10, and then boom, they'd be out before the next crowd would come in. I mean, Bill Clinton was up in there. I mean, all the politicians during that time came through.
I've never been up in that club.
So that one, and that goes down. And I was, the voice of the club that did the live broadcast on WKYS, thanks to Steve Hegwood and of course Daryl Huckabee and Mark Barnes. So those, and then being able to host and the concerts and bring all the artists that the record reps would bring through, and just so many different stories. And that's when you were able to really bond with the artist as an air personality, So outside of bonding with them, we haven't mentioned anything about the conventions. We did say something about Jack the Rapper, but those conventions in the 90s are legendary.
That's how we all got together. That's how we all unified as music lovers, whether it was Impact or it was BRE or it was Jack the Rapper or was Urban Network. We met. All the labels would come out. Right. It was never oh, he's there, I can't go. All the radio stations would come out, and that's before Bill Clinton tore everything up and had everybody buy up all the radio stations.
Right. Signed that deregulation bill. That's it.
That helped kill radio, definitely.
It certainly did.
Man, I think the party that I remembered the most is hanging out with Prince. It was the Hit and Run tour.
That's a good one.
We got so wasted, and I got so drunk that night, And I remember that I don't remember where I parked my car. I had to get an ex-girlfriend to come pick me up to take me home. Now, she was dating somebody else. She got up from where she was to come pick me up because I was that drunk. And she said to me, I must still love you. I said, why do you say that? Because I left my boyfriend to pick your drunk ass up to take you to your house and put you in your bed. I went back the next day and I couldn't find my car for 30 minutes. That's how drunk I was at the Prince party.
When was this?
Man, it was the hit and run. It was the hit and run tour. It's probably 2001.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that.
20. It was the hit and run tour.
Right.
And Prince hung out.
Yeah.
Women were acting the fool.
Yeah.
We had a ball. The station sponsored it, hosted it. That was one of them. That was the one.
And he was hanging out during that tour because I got to follow up on that, right? Because I was hosting the clubs on Friday night, but I wanted to do something different on Saturday night, so I came up with this concept called the Eyes Wide Shut parties, right? So basically, with the Eyes Wide Shut parties, I built up my own Rolodex of people. So you had to be a member to be invited to the party. You had to wear all black. You had to wear a mask, and you had to know the passcode, right? So this is the theme of the party. So I needed this house. I needed to find a club. I needed to find a hotel that had this eclectic feel to it. And I couldn't find anything. Prince comes to town on this tour, and then I find out he's having an after party. I said, Prince having an after party. I gotta go. So I go up into this place. He's not there yet. And I walk into this house, 3 stories, right around the corner from Howard University. People from the DC area probably remember it. It was called the House of Secrets. So it had 3 different floors. I mean, it looked like New Orleans on the inside of the house. You stand on the outside of the house, it looks like a regular house. You go in there, 3 floors, and then Prince walks in, and then, he's short. You see him. He's had his heels on. And I walk up to him. I start talking to him, and I tell him the story about how I'm going to do my party here, because if Prince picked the place to throw an after party, that the house has to be dope. So that was the place that I chose to throw my Eyes Wide Shut parties at, because Prince had his after party there. So talked to him for about 2-3 minutes, and then, just kept moving on. But it was surprising to hear how deep his voice was. You know what I mean? When you talk to him.
We're talking about Carmen, man. I gave away my tickets to Atlanta. His last concert. Wow. I gave away my tickets to one of my clients. Because I've seen Prince perform a million times.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll catch him the next time. Died about 3 weeks later. But that's just how things are. Let's talk a little bit about breaking one of the biggest hip-hop groups that ever been, Outkast. How was it like working with Outkast?
2 very unique gentlemen that came together as one, and I wish they could get back together. I wish they can get back together and do it again. Dre was... Big Boy was one side, yin, and Dre was the yang. And together they were just an incredible combination. They were not scared to test the limits.
Right.
Bombs over Baghdad. I mean, like, they did so much. They did so much for hip hop. They did a lot. They were part of the mainstream of hip hop when it came to just music and just the music that they had. It was such great music, so fresh, so clean. I mean, like they experimented and did things that groups still to this day has never done. Have been out for years and years. And
so, do you ever think about your contribution to hip hop? 50 years old. I mean, you bad boy.
Oh, I've seen a lot. My first national record that I worked nationally was Roxanne Shante, Roxanne's Revenge. I saw Shantae at Sirius XM about 2 weeks ago with Tyrese, and we just kicked back and and just talk. I mean, like I work with some of the most amazing artists in the world, Heavy D and
So when new people come into to the business and they hear about your resume and who you work with, are they in awe?
yes and no. I think that rappers today, a lot of, and I'm not gonna say rappers, let me just say artists in general today, they want what the artists of the past had, but they can't get it because it's just a totally different thing now. When we went and got music, we made an investment. We had to go buy a CD. We had to go buy a vinyl. We had to go buy a cassette. The kids today get on their phone and they virtually stream for free. So they think our music is free. So they don't have a commitment. So I think it's a total different feel. I mean,
Right.
kids can go on video games. They can do so many other things now that they couldn't do before. I mean, we had to charge when we went to a record store to look for some records. And then if you had an in-store, oh my God. In the artist in the in-store, oh, that was
line around the corner so they can get the CD signed.
Only times around the corner now is for sneakers.
Yeah. Jordans.
Yep.
Yeezys.
Yep. That's it. You know, it's just changed. And artists of today, it's hard, man, for artists of today. I mean, like I saw Megan Thee Stallion and her, just the way direction that she went. She made it because I think, again, there's certain artists that have little cheat codes. Yeah, cheat code because her mom was a rapper. And I think her mom got in her ear and told her, yeah, her mother was a rapper, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And, gave her the cheap. And that gave her a lot of insight into the business in which she took and worked with, There are still stories of today of a record breaking out of a market and making it. There are records that break out of Miami, Lorenzo, to these days, the records that break out of Detroit, there are records that break out of everywhere. In the beginning, records just broke out of New York. Then it just broke out of the West Coast. Then they broke out of Houston. Then they broke out of Atlanta. Now records can break out of anywhere, any place. So there are good things about the business and bad things about the business. I don't think the artists of today is going to have the longevity of artists that we grew up with.
Right.
I mean, can you remember the biggest record of the last 2 or 3 years? You can't even think about it,
Yeah, you're right.
Do you think that nowadays that artists are easily accessible with with social media, with IG or Twitter, that now they've become, to a certain extent, their own promotion person or their own manager? Because now, before, you had to, the radio station was the middleman, between the promotions person, you had the radio station, and that was the way that you were able to reach the artists. Nowadays, you don't necessarily need the radio station, so the middleman is gone, right? Do you think that is a help to the artists? I mean, the artists can monetize their platforms in such a way, but I think I've heard, I'm giving some props, I think I've heard Will Smith say this, or Denzel Washington say it, that sometimes you don't want to be as accessible, or you don't want to be in a movie every 6 months. You want them to miss you. I'm kind of paraphrasing some of the things that they said, but
don't want to be on stage 24/7.
Yeah. Do you think do you think it's a plus that they have those platforms, that they're able to cut out the middleman, or do you think it is the reason why they may have short careers?
I think there are good things about it and bad things, like most things in our lives. I think the great thing about it is you can control your own destiny. The number one, I would say, in the business now, to break a record, number one person has to do it is the artist themselves. They have to do it through their followers. They have to do it through their Instagram, their TikTok. Radio used to be that number one exposure. Now it's not. It's becoming more of a liability than an asset these days. Because you don't know, you could have a number one record and it doesn't stream. You can have a top 5 record and it doesn't stream. And you had a top 5 record at radio, you knew you was selling a half a million. Now
is that because the charts are controlled?
Yeah, but I think more so than that. I think there are two things involved with that. Streaming, you ain't getting paid. I mean, like, you got a million streams is $1,500, $2,000.
Right.
Really?
That's ludicrous. It's crazy right now.
Right. Right.
I mean, 10 million streams is 35,000. You know, $25,000. You thinking you're doing something? I did 10 million streams. That ain't paying no bills now. That ain't paying your radio. That's not paying your radio budget.
Wow. It's a different world with, you know, because
so streaming is very economical for an artist. But the bad thing about that, the bad thing about it is everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing the same thing. So what makes you so different from the other person that's doing the exact same thing?
Right.
It's hard. It's hard. The other thing I think in the past, as you just said, like we said in the beginning show, we had A&R departments. You know, you had a marketing team, you had a product manager. We all got together and we made sure the artist was put together. Even when you went to the studio, you didn't just go in the studio in your basement by yourself. You went in the studio, you had a producer, you had an engineer, you had somebody playing music. You don't have none of that stuff now.
Right.
It shows up in the music a lot of times.
Wow.
These people, they're in their business. I mean, they're in their homes making music. Half of them don't even have no musicality. They ain't even been to school or don't even know how to play an instrument.
Right.
They making beats and they rapping. 7 million streams. Let's go get it. Let's shoot it up the chart. Let's see if we can make some money off it.
What's going on, Jimmy? I just want to say hello while all this is going on.
Hey. So they're not looking for talent. They're just looking for opportunities to make money. A lot of people in the top brass of these labels ain't music people anymore either. You know, they're people that are counting the numbers. They're accountants.
Okay. So the business is.
Oh, yeah, let's go even further. There are no more black music departments. How about that?
Oh, so everything is pop now?
Everything goes. You have somebody at black music, but they got to report to somebody at pop music or somebody else. They don't have their own department. In the 80s, the 90s,
you had your own
department. The 2000, they had their own department. They did their own thing. They didn't have to go, well, can we do this or we get approval from you? They did their own thing. We don't have those anymore.
Wow. Woo-wee. Learning a lot about going on in this industry.
All by design.
Keep it
all
real
by design. All by design.
It is
all by design.
It's all by design. Again, I remember, and I ain't gonna say no names. I remember being in VP meetings. Yeah, most labels have VP meetings. All the VPs get together, sales, marketing, A&R, digital. Everybody used to go to meetings. And for a while, I was like, why are you signing this kind of music? And we see it was by design. It's by design. It really is. Some of these people doing it by design.
Right.
And they're not, and it's not our music anymore. It really ain't.
I mean, we keep going back to Tommy because Tommy was just wide open. He talked about last week. He said, look, when Brand Nubians and Tribe and all those cats came up, the way that they got promoted, they had to have a budget. They cut their budget because they were talking about positive black stuff. He said, remember Arrested Development, X-Clan, Tribe Called Quest, Brand Nubians. It was all black empowerment. Who got the budget? All of the most destructive rap music in terms of how we treat each other and treat our women got the budget. Not anything that empowered us or uplifted us. And the ugly part about it is when I talked to Parrish was on the show a couple of weeks ago, he said that there were people that looked like us that wanted to keep their job so bad, even when they knew it was wrong, they went along with the majority that didn't look like us in order to hold on to the position instead of speaking up.
To get that check.
Knew it was wrong.
That check. Yeah, to get that check. I remember a time when I first got in the industry, if something wasn't good for us, they get together and they would sound off. Whether it was Jack the Rapper or one of the other VPs, they would make noise. Sharon Haywood, Ray Harris,
right?
Those people, they stood up for us.
Right
now, people, and I don't want to mention the names, but a lot of people just collecting checks.
Collect a check.
That's all they're doing, collecting checks. It's a shame. It is a shame. I mean, shucks, you know, we wore our leather medallions, Afro.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we all had that.
Yeah.
Come on,
I think I still got mine. I'm pretty sure I do.
I remember, again, Public Enemy, they really broke out of Philadelphia. And Chuck will tell you, that was a movement. It was a movement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a positive movement, and nobody could stop those movements. Which brings me into a story I got to tell, and I don't think a lot of people know. A really good friend of mine, close friend of mine, name is Cookie Gonzalez. Cookie Gonzalez was a
Cookie
man. You know Cookie. Cookie Gonzalez was an A&R person. He signed Eric B. and Rakim. He signed X-Clan. He signed the Booyah Tribe. Y'all remember
the Booyah Tribe.
But Cookie
King's
always
son.
Cookie was like for the movement. We doing this for the movement. I remember he said, "Yo, they taking me out to LA. I'm going to go see this group. They call themselves NWA. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go listen to them." This before they broke and all that. He came back. He said, "Yo, man, I see the worst thing for rap. It's NWA. Yo, the way they talk about people and the way they talk about women and bitches. Yo, he said, man, I hope that never happened." See what happened?
Jerry Heller.
Yep.
They don't look like us.
So was there any groups similar to that on the East Coast at all? You mean we were not talking about, I mean, I do reference Criminal Minded with KRS-One, but that was that first album. But was there anyone that you can think of that was on the East Coast making record? Maybe Schoolie D? That was kind of like a gangster song.
Schoolie D first worked his first record. Schoolie D's first record. Actually, me and Alan Lott put out a Schoolie D record that I looked recently on, I think, Disco Tracks. I was like, oh shit, my Schoolie D record with Alan Lott. We put out together. Schoolie D, Schoolie was beyond his time. Schoolie, it was the beat though. It was what he was saying, but it was the beat more than anything. That fucking hammer, that 808 bang. Oh my God, that joint. I remember we had a Schoolie D record. About 8 months later, I get a orange label from my guy out on the West Coast I was doing promotion with. And his artist was called Ice-T. The record was called 6 in the Morning. And it was on Techno Records.
Wow.
What is this guy stealing Schoolie D style from? Boy, he ran with it. People still think that Ice-T is the invented gangster rap. That kills me when I hear people say that.
Yeah.
But Schoolie D.
But all the music from that era, even when you go back to the early days, with Africa Bambaataa or Treacherous 3,
good times.
Even Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 sequence with Angie Stone. I'm just thinking, I don't know if there were any records that were negative.
No,
like
really.
all the
records. We either had party records or we had records that talked about the neighborhood, but it wasn't talking about. It was talking about the bad conditions. The message was talking about the bad conditions of the neighborhood.
Right.
It wasn't talking about the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was a different
glass in the air. People other steps, they just don't care.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Sugar Hill Records.
Make the noise. I think what happens is that radio. They kicked back for a long time trying to make sure that they didn't play it, but eventually it got through. I remember when we were charging we were charging the record companies to edit the music, because if you sent me, y'all folks out there, back in the day, if the record company released a song with too many curse words,
that's right,
I would charge them $75 per word to edit in order for me to play it on the radio station, because we were trying to be gatekeepers at that point.
Yeah, we were.
But when, like we talked about, when Bill Clinton deregulated the system and mom and pops were no longer around, corporate radio took place. Corporate radio had people that dealt directly with the companies that didn't push the same types of morality pieces that your mom and pops would, because we had a responsibility to our community.
That's
because
right.
at one time, radio stations had to report their community pieces to keep their license.
Yeah.
Right now, we could say anything we want, do anything, and FCC won't say too much.
So you don't even need a license to be on the radio anymore. How about that?
How
about that?
I still got my license.
That part.
I still got my license.
That part.
Yeah. But Eric, before you were music director and were charging the record companies, I had to go into the production room, record the songs on reel to reel. And if there was a curse word, I'd have to break out the China marker and the razor blade.
Flip it.
And flip it over. So you would hear the whoop, whoop. And I spent so much time because all I played on my show on Saturday nights was hip hop. So there was so much time. But early on, there was not a lot of curse words on the songs early. They weren't cursing on records early on. But as you got into into that early 90s, that's when they started, cursing. And I think was it Treat Her Like a Prostitute, Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh. I had to flip that one or Lottie Dottie, with her wrinkled pussy. I had to flip that around, or KRS-One, she's just a super. You had to, flip that around. So I spent a lot of time in the production room slicing and splicing and flipping the reel tape around just so I could play songs on the radio, because that was not that.
A lot of times it's part of our culture.
Yeah,
didn't push back, because if you remember all about the Benjamins, there was a lyric and it says, "Stack chip like Hebrews, let the melody intrigue you." Now, when it says "stack chip like Hebrews," realistically, from the hood, that was brothers paying respect to the homage of the brothers of the Jewish faith that were considered to be able to take care of their finances. I stack my money like a Hebrew man. It was out of respect. But the Hebrew nation said, no. You will be not putting our name in that.
Never.
You won't do that.
That kind of reminds you of Dave Chappelle on Saturday Night Live. When two Jewish people meet. We never had this meeting. What did you say? How did it? We never had this meeting. We won't tell. Oh, this meeting was by chance, and we'll never tell.
Yeah. So
that's how some people do.
They made Puffy change that.
Yep, certainly did.
And that was all about the Benjamins, because I was like, stack chips like Hebrews, don't let the melody intrigue you. And I was like, when the record came, then there was another record. They were like, edit. I was like, where's the edit? They took out Hebrews. What was wrong with that?
That's right.
The people that ran the label were Jews.
That's right. They didn't want that.
You will not defame their name, because they're going to stick with their community. Unlike some of us that will hear the N-word all the time and never say anything.
Yeah.
See, I can't be mad at the Hebrew nation, because you will not defile them. Not y'all. But for us, they will allow us, they will control the narrative in terms of ownership. And they will allow us to call each other whatever we want. We can call each other itches and iggas all day long. And they own the record labels.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
Time to talk a little bit of real stuff on this thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Conversations with the DJ.
Well, I think it's great. I'm grateful now that we're in a part of the industry, and we're in a time that people can independently put out what they want to put out.
Right.
Now the problem is, we've got such great music out here. How can you get it exposed? How can those artists that are like those artists back in the day, that want to empower their community, they want to uplift their community, how do they get their music out? And it's kind of hard.
Right.
That's why I always.
Well, I mean, there are. Well, I'm down here in Miami, right? So there's a place where there's a lot of music that is exposed, and we know back in its heyday, a lot of people used to go to this venue. And right now, if you want to get that exposure, it's going to the strip clubs. You know what I mean? So you go to Diamonds or King of Diamonds in his heyday, and now you got Tootsie's and some other places down here that do it extremely well. And Craig, I think we hung out at a strip club not too long ago, a few years back in the 1900s, and
yes, we did.
When Craig and I see each other or we communicate with each other, there's a phrase that we say.
Now, who was the person that we was in there with? What was the artist?
You remember?
Horace Brown.
Oh my God!
I'm not afraid
for the love of money.
Love.
Horace Brown.
When it comes to making love.
Okay, so
Horace Brown.
Craig and I was hanging out. This goes back to the early 1990s, and when Craig and I see each other now, we always say, "Where's my pager?" Because Craig, you go ahead and do the honors. Because what happened that night?
We got toe up from the flow up.
Yes.
And I lost my pager. The next day, I was like, "Yo, I don't have my pager. Where's my pager?" And that's where it came from. We've been kicking that.
What club were y'all in?
We were in Portsmouth.
That's what I was saying. We were on the other side of the water.
We were in Portsmouth.
We were in Portsmouth. Yep, we were.
And there was a spot there that
it wasn't a great spot. Now it wasn't like the great spot.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But it was.
But it was an after-hour spot too.
Right, but it's like I knew that was a good spot for me because I needed to connect to the people in the streets. You know what I mean? So yeah, exactly. You had to do that to to be credible. So if there's like, oh yeah, Lorenzo comes by and he hangs out here, we're good. And in fact, at that time, I think I had my hair fried, dyed, and laid to the side at that time. You know what I mean? This girl I was seeing, she had her beauty salon over there. So I had the Steve Crumley thing going on back then. You remember that? Yeah.
Shout out to Steve Crumley.
I got to pull out.
Steve, we love you.
So we used to frequent that spot. I can't remember the name of it, and that was the place to go. We'd go over there, we hang out. Horace Brown came with us and had a good time, and we got tore up from the floor up. And Craig lost his pager, and that is over. We talking 30? No, we talking
30 plus years, bro.
30 years. We talking 30 plus years.
That's right.
Did Andre Harrell lose his job at Motown behind Horace Brown?
Woo!
He put a lot of money behind Horace Brown.
I think it was multiple things.
Woo! You broke out the whip on that one.
I think him spending $1 million on himself was part of that too. Okay. Remember, he had buses. He put out billboards. Was on buses with him.
Yeah,
in a chair.
I remember that.
Yep.
Because that's when Uptown was gone.
Yep.
Motown brought him over to run the label.
Yep.
His first artist was Horace Brown, and he dumped a boatload of money into Horace. And Horace, actually, the album is actually a really good album, but it never took off. It was certified lead.
It took off.
It was
the one on Uptown did better than the one on Motown.
What song was on? He had Taste. Did he have Tasty Love and For the Love of Money, right? And For the Love of Money. It wasn't that a money song?
Tasty Love was a big record. We worked.
Tasty Love was a big record.
But he didn't have a song with called Money in it at all.
He might have, but I just remember that big record.
Yeah,
we have to go in the archives for that.
Yeah, man. Horace Brown. I still got the promotional basketball jersey with the 8 on it.
So do any of you guys still got that Usher? Remember we wearing hockey jerseys? They had the Usher hockey jersey.
I never got a Usher hockey jersey, but I had a Janet Tour jacket, a Def Jam jacket.
I had the Def Jam
jacket.
I had a profile jacket. I remember profile baseball jacket when they had it.
Who was you working with? What artist you working profile besides Run DMC?
Run DMC, Slick Rick. Run DMC. Dana Dane was my first gold record. I never got my Run DMC record, but I got my first record. Manny Bella. Shout out to Manny Bella.
Manny. Shout out to Manny Bella.
Dana Dane. Punkin, Rob Bass.
It Takes Two.
Yeah, they had a great lineup over there. Profile did their thing.
Let me know if y'all can hear this. This is the Horace Brown. For one for the money.
Well, I know there's a 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3
1 for the money.
Yeah, Horace Brown.
Oh, Brown.
Look at what he's doing.
Where are they now?
Where are they now?
Yeah, I haven't seen him on the, what we call the chilling circuit.
No, I haven't.
The hook.
I haven't.
Yeah. I haven't heard about him in a minute. So
So
I remember when he took over Motown, and as soon as when Horace Brown didn't work out, they kicked him right out. It didn't take a long time, but you said when you spend $1 million on yourself because he promoted himself, he wasn't an artist. Well, he was an artist.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
I worked Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, him and Alonzo. I remember them from Philadelphia. Yep. We had the suit and tie rappers.
Yep.
That's the suit and tie rapper. Punkin with the beat.
Pumpkin and then like something AM PM song or something.
AM PM.
Oh my God, I remember that. Oh,
they were on profile. They were on profile.
Profile. That's right. That's right.
Profile.
This is what we're talking about, the history of music. This is a cool conversation because, as you know, all of the major industries are now trying to celebrate 50 years of hip hop. But we know back in the day you didn't support it. But it's okay to do it now. You're late. You're a little late on. Yeah, it's cool to support it now. But we're talking about from the time we've been in the business, and a lot of us been pretty close to the beginning of it, not necessarily all the way to the beginning. I ain't gonna say that, but we've seen it grow from, a hip hop, a hibbit, to what it is today.
Right. Major labels didn't want to touch it. No,
yeah. They did not want to touch hip hop.
No,
they didn't want none of it. But we were in the gym jams in college. That's all we played.
That's right.
That and house music.
That's right. What did you guys think about the Grammys, the 50th anniversary celebration?
You know what? I didn't see it.
Go see it.
Oh, I thought the tribute was hot. I thought it was very, very well done.
Really well done.
Very well done. I mean, of course, that you can't have, and I think it was LL who set it up by saying, "Hey, we can't have everyone in this,"
because everybody's like, "I'm part of this."
Right. Like I hit Dougie up, and it was like, he was
Dougie
missed.
Right.
Yeah, Dougie should have been in. He said I hit him up, and he said, said you were missed, and he said he appreciated it, but he said, "Oh, there's more to come." You know what I mean? More tributes to come. So no, but they did an excellent job on that tribute. Very well done. Very well done.
That's so too. Only thing I think, again, Dougie, I think was missing, and I think they should have had a Latin rap artist in there to show the diversity of hip hop. It wasn't all that,
Hey, Bull.
Yeah.
My next thing is, and I don't know, you guys are gonna close down on me. I have had the honor, and it was started last year by working with 3 of the greatest female vocalists in the world, and that was Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, and now Chaka Khan. And there were just 3 different people. Out of all of them, Aretha Franklin was just the most amazing woman, even at the age when I met her. And she was a little bit, she was doing Pink Cadillac by then, and it wasn't the early Aretha Franklin, but she was just such an influence on me.
You worked at Pink Cadillac?
Pink Cadillac was on Arista. Yeah.
Oh my
God. You worked a Rose Is Not a Rose with her and Lauryn Hill.
With Lauryn Hill, yeah.
And it was just being with her. She was really a motherly type of person. She would baby, stop what you're doing. Sit your ass down. You ain't got to do that right now. Just sit down. Come talk to me for a minute. You take off her eyebrows, eyelashes.
She take off her eyebrows.
Whitney Houston was just a total energy all the time. I don't think I've ever seen Whitney really relax. I've never really saw her relax.
Craig Davis.
And she would always be moving. I remember one time we were she was doing a tour. It was her and Usher, or her and Janet. I don't know which. Remember, I think it was her and Usher. And I remember
I can't imagine her and Janet on the same show.
And let me tell you, Bobby Brown came in.
That's why.
The show, and he was bouncing off the ceiling. I thought I saw him bouncing. Boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh my God, these 2 motherfuckers is crazy. They were as a couple.
Dude, I had a concert. I was hosting the concert. It was BBD, Bobby Brown, and 702. And after 702 went on, it was at the Richmond Coliseum. Something smoked out in the Coliseum. We had to cancel the show. Whitney is back at the hotel at the Marriott. And her and Bobby fighting in the lobby. Yo, dude, crazy.
Loved each other though. She loved some Bobby Brown.
They loved each other.
She loved Bobby Brown. She loved Bobby, and Bobby loved her too. It was just that one of that crazy relationships. Now let me tell you, my newest one, Chaka Khan.
I heard she been talking bad about Mary, about MJB, about
she talked about that in Mariah Carey. She didn't talk bad about Aretha Franklin though.
So she talked bad about Mariah too.
She said Mariah being number 5. Was that payola? Did she get paid? Did somebody?
Yeah, she did say that. That's right. She did say that. That she
Mariah
even
can sing.
Not how. Let me tell you, there are very few people that can sing in Chaka Khan's eyes.
Okay, yeah, well, I can tell because she
Khan is a
basically
purist when
said,
it comes to music.
"Woo, I hope she don't ever come after Beyonce."
You know what? She did. I'll let her tell her stories. She has great stories to tell her.
She's been on Vlad. She was on Vlad talking about.
Get a nice sit down with her, let her go. She's got history. She's seen so much.
Right.
I would say diva-fied. I would say probably Aretha Franklin is 1.
Right.
I think I got to say Chaka Khan's 2 and Whitney's 3. I think I got to do it that way. As far as
why would you put Shaka on top of Whitney?
Because Chaka's a diva. She said, "I done seen it all. None of y'all can tell me anything. I done seen it all." So she's owed that diva status.
Right.
You know? Oh, she hated Kanye for taking her song and speeding it up. She talked about it.
Yeah, she sure did.
Sound like a chipmunk. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a hit.
Listen, she's an amazing artist. She has an amazing couple projects getting ready to come out. She still has her vocals. She's back. She's out here doing it. I mean, it's amazing how we have some like a Charlie Wilson that can come back and still do what he does. We've got those heritage acts that we're still holding on to, which is a good thing. They have theirs now. At least we have ours. We haven't thrown ours away.
What happened to her on the Verses? She was on. Who was she on Verses with?
Was she on with?
She had some
Stephanie
issues.
Mills. She was on with
Stephanie Mills.
She didn't want to be there.
She didn't want to be there. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I knew something on her end didn't fly right.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it was probably her ego saying that, "Why are you putting me with Stephanie Mills? I got way bigger records. I'm way bigger."
Gotcha. Yeah. Man.
She was looking for more of a Patty type.
I mean, but you also got to remember, I mean, it was Rufus and Shaka Khan, so you got to look at all of those hits from the early 70s, and then, her going solo and
Through the Fire.
Yeah. And all of those soulful hits that will stand the test of time.
She was one of the first artists that had a hip hop record that went big too, though.
The one with Melly Mel?
With Melly Mel.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a big record for her.
That's right. Yep.
That was a big record, big hip hop record.
No, that was huge. And that crossed over.
So do y'all remember when Herbie Hancock first came?
Mm-hmm. Of course, Rockin' It. Right?
Rocket.
Was Rockin' It the first? Yeah. And what was so amazing about it is that hip hop, we embraced that, but no one was rapping on there. There was like an era with the Trans Europe Express.
Yes.
Hashim the Soul.
Yes, all of those songs that came out.
Music.
And they didn't have any rapping on it, but we embraced it. Jelly Bean, the Mexican, all of those songs. But you know what? I think why we embraced them is because they had break beats in them, or they had, we're not calling them break beats, but basically they had solo parts in those songs that we were able to cut up and stretch it out. That's why we embraced. I answered my own question.
Mantronics, Nucleus.
Yeah.
Wiki.
That's right.
But we even embraced Blondie, and Tears for Fears and the Dream Team. No, not the Dream Team. The Supreme Team. There was so many.
Thomas Dolby, Blinded.
Yeah, there was.
Who did
Dr. Casbah? How about that?
Oh, that's right.
So who did what was my man?
That was the Rapping Duke.
Yeah.
The Rapping
Duke.
Alan had me work that record. The
You worked the Rapping Duke?
The reason why the first time I went to BRE is because the guy from had the label brought me to be out to LA for the first time was because of the Rapping Duke. And that's that first time I sat down and met Daddy Jackson. Ooh, boy.
Thank you, David Green. Thank you.
Oh, that's Shady. That's Shady Groove. Shady Groove. Hey, Shady, we're gonna be talking about next week with Bo Sampson about Go-Go. So we're gonna talk about Bo's on the show next week.
Okay.
Good. My God.
He's actually texted me or sent me the link to the show that he produced on TV One about the history of Go-Go.
Yeah.
That was a very, very, very good documentary.
Congratulations to him.
So we're gonna definitely talk about Go-Go. And the week after that, DJ Cool. So we're gonna make sure we talk about a whole
That's what Cool about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Sent him some information. He has so many million streams of that. Let me clear my throat. Oh my God. I remember DJ Cool when he worked at what was the club in DC?
Ivory. Oh, the club
in Ivory by Andrews Air Force Base. Oh, it was a Tuesday night. I used to remember going to Cool's house before he was that artist and drop records off the Cool at his mother's house. Oh. It's just so many great stories. It's just been, let me just tell you, this business, if you love what you do, like they said, it'll never be a day of work for you. This has never really been a day of
I tell people all the time, I haven't worked.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate, you know. And I
still wake up every morning, can't wait to do what I do. It's just amazing. It's amazing that we're all blessed and we're still doing what we do.
I say we're stealing money, man.
It's a labor of love.
It is a labor of love.
It's a labor of love.
I want to say a shout out to Mom and Dad, because if it wasn't for Mom and Dad, I thank you, Mom and Dad, for what you've done and just set me up and just to be who I am and do what I did. I was talking the other day to my dad. I said, Dad, you know, you had me at 16, 17, delivering papers and working at 2 jobs at once going to school. But it was just that hustle mentality. And with music back then, we all hustled. We all hustled.
Yeah.
Riz, you had your hustle. Eric, you had your hustle. I had mine. And it was all about the hustle. We all came together as one. And it was all about, it's always been about the music. You know, just we thank God for this music that we have and what music we've done. We made a lot of people some money.
Oh, yeah. We made a lot of people money.
We made a lot of people money. I also want to do shout out to Shadow and Maurice White. Those are my 2 that I still wake up every morning. We do prayers at 8:30. We pray for everybody that's having things. We get out there and get these records played. So shout out to Shadow and shout out to Maurice. Shadow is a VA kid as well. Went down to VA and learned from you guys as well. He has great stories as well. Maybe you can get him on one day.
Yeah.
Shout out to Damon and Danielle Lott, Alan Lott's
kids,
who's doing an amazing job and doing what they do. Shout out to all the early radio cats that shaped me, whether it was a Fred Buggs or Steve Crumley or a
Gary Young.
I actually had dinner with Damon Williams last night. The R&B Foundation, just to let everybody know as well, is out there supporting artists. So if you have any type of problems, if you got any medical problems, medical bill problems, or any type of problems, reach out to the R&B Foundations. Damon gave me a bit of bad news, though. He said that they have AI for radio now.
Chat GPT.
I heard.
If you go to it right now, actually, I use it for writing commercials, but now they've got. They say at the end of this week it should be like a million times smarter than it was last week.
You know, and they said that you can get I want the DJ to sound like a certain person, and it'll manipulate and sound like a certain person.
If your voice is already out there, it'll take that voice. Oh yeah.
Well, we can make Lorenzo AI.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they can say what kind of music, and it'll go play the music for you. That's dangerous. They say that with the artists with writing music now too. AI can write a song for you. That is crazy.
No.
So how do they get the artists to say what they need them to say? Someone just says it, and then they
give my idea. I want you to write a song about this and this, and they writes a song.
Oh no, let me tell you, I play with it all the time.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Actually asked it to write a 5-minute monologue, comedy monologue. It wrote it in about 40 seconds.
Was it good?
It was pretty good.
Okay.
It was pretty good. It'll do all kinds of stuff, man. When I say this thing is crazy, it is crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. Wow. So I use it all the time for other stuff. But you know, kids were using it to write papers. And they were like crazy. I mean, they were very good papers, but you can't use that stuff, you know, in a what is it? A educational space. So yeah, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. I was trying to open up a browser now because it saves the work that I did. And I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, man. We're going into a whole nother thing right now, evolving into this AI intelligence. Or you see a video.
Do you have a prediction where it may go, Craig?
I think corporations are all about money. So let's leave it there.
Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier in reference when they created some of this software was made for voice tracking,
right.
And there's things that you can't do with that software that is necessary to put on a very interactive show. And I think they really, back when they created some of this, stuff, didn't expect the personalities to be there anymore, So then that didn't necessarily work because you do need those talk shows. You do like they used to say black people didn't like talk, and then look what Clubhouse did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So people on Clubhouse for hours. So we do love talk. You just need to be talking about something that we want to hear.
Right.
So, it'll be interesting to see how that can, dominate the airwaves.
So
therefore, do I need to trademark the sound of my voice? What I'm saying?
Look into it. You better look into it.
Right. My name is trademark. I have that, but what about my voice? So,
right.
So that's interesting.
So I pulled up I pulled it up. Good evening, folks. How's everyone doing tonight? Great. Well, let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm a comedian, but I'm not the kind of comedian that makes people laugh. I'm more like the kind of that makes people feel sorry for me. For instance, the other day, I went to the doctor's office and they told me that I needed to lose weight. I said, Doc, I can't lose weight. I'm too attached to my love handles. And he replied, well, you gotta get used to them because they're not going anywhere. But seriously, lose the weight. I mean, it wrote a whole 5 minutes
monologue. Wow.
It wrote a monologue. I told it what I wanted to do.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. We're in crazy times right now, but God bless. We could say, I remember when.
Right.
We sound like our parents now. I remember when.
It's only as smart till 2 years ago, but it's getting smarter. So what is 23 now? 21 where it's cut off in terms of the knowledge that it has, but it's getting smarter.
So basically they're not going to give them any information about slavery, huh? They're going to
eliminate no. It's 21 all the way back. So 2022 and 2023 hadn't caught up yet.
Okay. Right, but my point is,
if I pull up slavery, it'll talk all about it.
But they're going to end up eliminating that, though.
I don't know if you can do it.
If the governor of the state has anything to do with it, it will be eliminated.
What he's going to do about that?
Well, they're already doing it. That was in the news today. Basically, they were looking at some of about the frats and then some of the textbooks that had slavery written in there. They were trying to remove it, or things that say anything about race. The Rosa Parks. She basically one of the texts is going to read Rosa Parks. I'm going off the top, paraphrasing here. Rosa Parks. She sat on the bus. She did not want to give up her seat. Someone wanted her seat. She did not give it up. She is a proud woman. That's what the text read.
Wow.
They want to remove everything out of it that has anything to do with race.
Wow.
That's an example of how they want to rewrite history.
So I just put in history of slavery in America. The history of slavery in America dates back to the early colonial period in the 17th century. Slavery was introduced into the American colonies by the Dutch in the mid 1600s, and it spread quickly through the British colonies, particularly in the South. Slavery was based on an idea that people of African descent were inferior and could be bought as sold as property. Enslaved Africans were brought to America on ships from Africa, where they were sold at auctions to plantation owners. Slavery played a significant role in the economy of American colonies, particularly in the South, where it is used for produce, crops, tobacco, rice, cotton. Enslaved Africans worked long hours in harsh conditions. That thing wrote that in about 20 seconds.
Type in there, Kemet. See what it says.
Okay. Then we'll get back to the music.
Interesting. Kemet, Africa, Egypt.
Spell Kemet. K-E-M-E-T?
K-E-M-E-T.
Kemet is an ancient name for the land of Egypt, particularly during the time of the pharaohs. It is derived from the ancient Egyptian word Kemet, or Kemet, which means
black land,
and refers to the fertile soil along the banks of the Nile River. The region was known as Kemet because of its rich black silt that was left behind after the annual flooding of the Nile, which made it ideal for agricultural and development of a thriving civilization. Kemet is commonly used today in reference to religious and spiritual beliefs of the ancient Egypt, particularly in the context of the modern neo-pagan and Kemet revival movements. It took. I swear, this AI is ridiculous. My man David said
that is the truth, though.
But what I'm saying is,
he's telling the truth.
The computer, it takes all of the information. If you go right now, the guy that created Gmail said that that Google will be out of business in 2 years because of the AI.
Wow.
The guy that created Gmail.
Wow.
Because it's learning. It's like, we joke about the Terminator, but this is science fiction.
That's what it is, though. Yeah, it's constantly learning, evolving.
It's constantly learning. Eventually, it's going to say, "Do we need humans?"
It is going to say that. It's going to say it.
Remember
we might not be around, but
remember War Games when the computer decided to try to kill all of the people back in the day? Oh my God, this is crazy. But it makes a good commercial.
Type in the name Aset. A-U-S-E-T. Aset. Peru.
Also spelled as Isis, is the ancient Egyptian goddess who was revered as a divine mother, wife, and sister of the god Asur or Cyrus, and mother of Horus. She was worshipped throughout the ancient world. I'm telling you, this thing is ridiculous.
Type in Heru. H-E-R-U.
This is easy for
that is her son.
Heru, also named as Horus, is an ancient Egyptian god who was worshipped as the god of the sky, kingship, and protection. He was depicted as a falcon or a man with a falcon's head and was associated with the sun and the pharaohs of Egypt. What else?
There you go.
That's where everything is going. So, I mean, I use it for work all the time.
We don't need humans.
You gotta send me that. You gotta send me that site, man. You gotta email. Because listen, E, this is what right now. That's why I'm throwing these names at you just to see whether or not that's going to tell the truth.
How fast it is,
and it's telling the truth.
You can't take down the information. It goes across. It takes all the information on the internet and
Ashur, Aset, and Haru is the original story. Basically, that is the story of Jesus. Okay. And basically, that story of Ashur, Aset, and Haru is 6,000 years old.
I said it knows everything until
right. But the story of Jesus and Mary is copied from that story.
Hold on,
Greg, you with me?
Oh, I've been on.
That's
all information for me.
Right.
I just put in East Coast, West Coast beef. The East Coast, West Coast beef refers to the feud between hip-hop artists and their respective record labels on the East and West Coast of the United States during the 1990s. This feud accumulated in the murders of two of the most prominent artists of the era, Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious Big or Biggie Smalls, in 1996 and 1997, respectively. The feud was primarily between the East Coast Bad Boy Records, led by Sean Puffy Combs, and represented artists such as Notorious Big, and West Coast-based Death Row Records, led by I just typed it in. This is crazy.
Send me that site, man. I need that. I need that in my life.
I'm getting ready to go.
All right, both. Hey, tell people how they can,
man.
Tell people how they can find you on social media.
I'm really easy. I'm Uncle Craig Davis. That's on all my sites. You got to just say Uncle Craig Davis, and I'm there everywhere.
And Lo, how can they find you?
And man, they can find me tomorrow on Star 94.5. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday nights on Hot 105 in Miami from 6 p.m. to 10. My Twitter is at Lorenzo Thomas. My IG is Lorenzo Ice T, Lorenzo ICETEA. And Elite, tell me where they can find you, brother.
They can find me at Convo with the DJ on all of my platforms. And if you want to check me out on the radio, 100 Hip Hop and R&B FM on all of your digital platforms. We're definitely in the house. We're gonna make this legal. Craig, stick around for about 30 seconds, man. I want to talk to you real quickly. We got to make this legal.
Sir.
Thank you for coming
Thank
out,
you, guys.
my brother.